Hello, everyone, and welcome to WILA, the series where I discuss, analyze, and talk about the things that I like about movies. I am your host, Daniel Coles, coming from the basement of our rental house, and today I will be talking about what I love about K-pop Demon Hunters. Here it is, first official review. If you guys haven't listened to the intro video, why don't you guys go ahead and listen to the intro video? Give you the the rundown of the WILA podcast and my goals, my dreams, the challenges that will come through. So you guys can go ahead and do that if you haven't. If not, here's the first official review. K-pop Demon Hunters. This is a Sony Pictures Animation film. It was distributed by Netflix. You can only watch it on Netflix as of now. This was directed by Chris Applehans and Maggie Kang. I apologize if I mispronounce any names in this in these credits, so please forgive me. I'm not really good at this. But it is written by Danya Jimenez, Hannah McMahon, Maggie Kang, and Chris Applehans. It was released on June 20th, 2025, and it is rated PG. It is rated PG for action, violence, for scary images, thematic elements, some suggestive material, and brief language. So, I saw this movie while scrolling through Netflix shortly after it released. I didn't think much of it. I thought it was just another Netflix #1 movie after one day movie, because you see a lot of those movies that say it's the #1 movie on the site, and I guess it's apparently popular, and I never heard anything about it before it came on. And usually a lot of those movies are kind of seem like mid, or at least I'm like, didn't really see much. Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of appeal. It didn't have a whole lot of appeal to me. Didn't really want to watch it, given the what I can tell based on the title. However, shortly, I don't want to say it was about, yeah, it was a couple months after it was released. I actually found some Christian creators, some artists, and some people online, like on Instagram, on YouTube, TikTok. They were talking and they were talking about and analyzing the movie and its themes, and even connecting it to, scriptures, Bible verses. And that obviously piqued my interest, because when I kept listening to these people and watching a little bit more, it got me thinking, okay, what is this movie really about? And is it really worth watching? So I gave it a chance. I was cautious, very cautious, because of the word demon in the title. Now, the title does say K-pop Demon Hunters. So obviously the focus is going to be a group of people fighting against demons. However, especially because it's on Netflix, I've always been very wary about what kind of content, especially in the spiritual aspect, that they would include. So I wanted to give it a chance based on what I saw people talking about. But again, I was also very cautious because of my soul, because of my mind, my spirit. So I sat I sat on my couch in the living room one night, made a bowl of popcorn, and I was just praying. I was like, Lord, if this is not good for me to watch, please let me know, and I will pause it, and I will put it away, no matter how much I'm into the movie. And even my wife was kind of a little bit cautious. She was like, just be careful. And I'm like, oh yeah, I will be careful. And once I turned it on, I knew it was going to be good based on seeing the words Sony Pictures Animation. I didn't know it was by Sony Pictures Animation. So I watched it in late fall of 2025. I loved it. I thought it was really great. And then I showed my wife beginning of winter. She liked it. And then we talked about when we would want to introduce it to our daughter. So we introduced it to our daughter, our oldest daughter, after New Year's. And now she keeps asking for it. It's one of her favorite movies. So, um, that's anyway. Let's talk. Let's dive. Let's not waste any more time. Let's dive straight into what I like, what I love about K-pop Demon Hunters non-spoiler section. Uh, there's a lot of things to talk about. I will try to be very quick and just go straight through the points. But the first and foremost, the first thing that people uh, will think about when hearing the name K-pop Demon Hunters are as the music and the songs. I want to talk about the music and the songs. Me personally, I'm not really interested in the genre of K-pop. I didn't know much that it actually was a genre of Korean pop culture music. Um, it's its own, again, it's its own genre. It has its own fan base. I'm not particularly one of them, but I'm not going to say it's terrible. I I think the music is engaging. Like I've listened a few, I listened to a few in the past, either through someone else's phone or just brief glimpses of it, and I'm like, you know what? I can see why people will love it. It's fun and engaging. It's pumping and everything, but it's just not for me. Um, the songs in this movie are fantastic. They're amazing. Um, it actually kind of made me. It makes me a fan of K-pop only in the context of this movie. So only in the parameters of this movie. I'm not just gonna go and like experiment or like explore and all this, the different music that comes from Korean, pop music and everything. But in this movie does it really well. Um, what I like about the song, oh man, songs are different sounding from each other. Every single song does not sound the same. They're unique, they're special, they're specifically tailored for the specific for elements and parts of the movie. Um, they play well into the story and the actions happening in the scenes. They establish characters, they establish surroundings, they explore themes that are prominent from beginning to end, and they're just visually great to look at. Um, they're filled with deep personal lyrics and meanings. The structures of these songs are great. I can listen to these songs over and over again and not get bored. I like that. They're very catchy. um, they're, they're very catchy, and they're very impactful as well. They can get you pumped up and making you feel like you want to go fight some demons yourselves, or I don't know, go dance in the streets and everything. But the ending song in particular, I think, has the biggest impact on me. It gives me goosebumps every time, and it even makes me tear up a little bit just because of the raw emotional strength that is behind the words and even the scene that is unfolding when it happens. It is great. Not to mention that the singers have amazing voices that reach high notes and strong melodies for long periods of time that I can only ever dream about if I ever wanted to pursue a career of singing. Um, I, I love strong voices. I love really good singers when they can hold high pitches for quite a while and then intensify the power in their voice. It's great. I love it. Uh, Another great thing that I love about this movie, the animation. Animated movies have noticed in the past like decade have really seen a surge of popularity and creativity that is rivaling a lot of live action movies to this day. Um, and not to mention um, there's a lot of animated studios that are starting to uh, test the boundaries, and they're starting to go beyond what is comfortable or what is easy, what looks like every other animated movie, and they're being creative. They're using different art styles. I like it. I like when they take the risks. It's great. But this movie, the animation is like top tier. I love. I'm a sucker for good and unique animations art styles. I just love that. I love seeing artists, be expressive and try new things. The animation itself is, for me, it's inspired. by the likes of the Spider-Verse movies. If you guys have seen the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse movie, and are eagerly awaiting for the Beyond the Spider-Verse movie that comes out next year, you guys will know and understand how good the animation is. This movie follows somewhat in the same footsteps while not actually copying the same animation style. There's a lot of vibrant colors in contrast to dark colored backgrounds. It makes a lot of scenes enjoyable to look at. The character animation models, they feel believable. Now, I also love how they emphasize some characters to have, cartoonish faces or expressions that are obviously not, realistic, but in the context of being an animated film, it makes sense. But even just the way they move and even just the way they present themselves, they feel unique and distinct from each other. It's believable because they actually feel like a real character. I love it. Not to mention the environmental designs, from like the stages that the singers sing on, to the penthouses or the apartments that they stay in, top of buildings, alleyways, even in front of a big olden tree, like a big old ancient type tree. No matter what it is, the animators, the artists, they really put a lot of thought into making the environments really good and beautiful looking. There are moments where I think they actually put like watercolor type palettes in the background. Um, some shots and like some backgrounds make it look like it's a screensaver on a Windows background, but it's not distracting. It's great. There's a lot of moments, and there are a couple of moments in the movie that act as like freeze frame shots. Where you can you can just pause it and then boom, turn it into a poster, and it works really well. I like when they do that. Um, they do really good cartoonish humor and styles with the animation, with either with characters' faces, expressions with their arms or their bodies, or even some visual gags, just things that happen in the background. There's always something happening that is actually pretty fun to watch. Um, and one thing I like about the animation with the characters, even just kind of like with the whole movie itself, uh, it moves like an anime in full 3D motion. Like you have the designs of like a 2D animated like character, but obviously it's more three dimensional. Sometimes they move in ways that you would find in animes. I've not watched a whole bunch of anime, but I have seen a few to know the distinct, style that comes along with them. So for those who have seen a lot of anime, like I think this will work well, and you may enjoy it the same way I do. If not, just watch and enjoy how this movie moves around. And another creative choice that I like with the animation, it's a good blend of there's a good blend of movements on the twos and ones, and what that means is there's a lot of good blends of 24 frames per second to 12 frames per second. You may have characters walking or moving in 12 frames per second while the background's happening in 24, or vice versa. So they move around with the frame rates of certain actions and objects in the focus in the center screen, or even just in the frame itself. I think that's really cool. The Spider-Verse movies did those, and they experimented with those, which is fantastic and is amazing. It really it really stretches the boundaries and the limits of what animators are capable of, and even in storytelling. And this movie kind of does the same way as well. I love it. I want to talk about let me just quickly talk about the characters. I love the characters. Characters are unique. They're written well. For a movie that is just about, a group of ladies who are K-pop celebrities, but in secret they are demon hunters. Every single one of them, first off, have great chemistry with each other. They also stand out on their own. They have their own strengths, their weaknesses, their likes, dislikes. They have quirks. They have personality traits. They're not just caricatures or They're just not two-dimensional. They're well-rounded, well-written, and they're fun. These are characters that you want to cheer on, and they're relatable. They're funny. Um, so uh, they're all great. Like I don't think there's a single character that stands out as like poorly written, or I'm like, I don't really like that character. I like them all. I think they're all done really well. I want to quickly just go through like some of the main characters, characters that are highlighted through the movie. There's the three main characters. The K-pop group known as Huntrix. Huntrix with an X at the end. But the three main members of Huntrix, we have Rumi, we have Mira, and we have Zoe. Um, I'll just give you guys a quick little description of what these characters look like, or even just, kind of like their character. Rumi, she's the main character. She has purple hair, long purple hair, braided that goes down, like down her back. She has the strongest voice out of all three of them. There's Mira. She has red hair. She's a little bit broody. She's kind of like the tough girl. She's known as like the quote unquote problem child, but she does have a quirky side to herself. Like she can be very animated and, very comfortable around the other two. And then you have Zoe, the third member. She has black hair. She's a rapper. She's eccentric. She's a people pleaser. She loves people. She's kind of like a golden retriever as a person. And then the other group, there's a rival group to the Huntrix group. There's a group of boys called the Saja Boys. They consist of 5 guys. 5 guys makes me hungry for 5 Guys burgers and fries. Anyway, those members of Saja Boys, we have Jinu. He's the main character. He kind of has there's a dark past to him. He can be sarcastic, and he has a relationship slash connection to Rumi. So there's a good dynamic between the two characters and throughout the movie. Then we have Abby. He has like magenta type hair. He has defined abs. That's his defining feature for his character. His abs, like where he wears like tight shirts that just rise a little bit above his waist, where you can see his belly button and some defined his abdomens and everything. Then we have baby Saja. He has turquoise hair. He wears a pink sweater. I think he wears a beanie cap as well. He's a little bit more baby face, but he definitely has a soft face with a soft smile. There's Mystery. He has silver hair that covers his eyes. And as far as I can tell, besides singing, he doesn't talk. He has no speaking lines. And then the 5th member is Romance. I know these are very creative names that kind of seem like an actual boy band. But Romance, he has pink hair, he has long locks, and he's considered like the heartthrob. He has like the heartthrob persona. So, a part of these two groups of singers, we have a couple of other side characters or other like characters that are more in the background, or they don't have as much focus, but they do have importance to the story. We have Bobby, who is the manager for Huntrix. He's a good manager. He's voiced by Ben Jeong, who has a very distinct, funny voice. And he has some pretty good funny elements. He has good chemistry with the girls, and actually in a way kind of provides a little bit of a levity towards the human aspect of their relationship to the world, if that makes sense. So like they have 2 lives. Huntrix has 2 lives. Their lives as singers and their lives as demon hunters. Bobby is a good way of grounding them and reminding them of, their roles as singers, which is great. And then there's another character that kind of does a great way of grounding them or being as a mentor towards their hunter side, which is Celine. There's Celine. She is a former hunter. As explained before, there's been generations and generations of these group of hunters that go and fight demons, and also they serve as singers, and they create bands and they create a following of people. So Celine was a former hunter and was one of the lead singers of the group that came before Huntrix. She is a mentor figure for Huntrix, brings them up and explains them the roles of being a hunter. There isn't a whole lot of screen time for Celine, but there is enough to know the dynamic set between her and the rest of the girls, especially Rumi, which I will explain later more in the spoiler section. Um, but with a cool thing about Celine is that her character provides doubt to her actions and her words. They provide some doubt to her legitimacy for emotional guidance, especially for Rumi. And then the last main character that I wanted to talk a little bit about is Gima. Guima. I think it's Gima or Guima. The main, he is the main bad guy, the antagonistic force for this movie. He is the main demon that is basically in charge of all the demons. He has no physical body. The only form that he has is the form of a giant flame. He is intimidating and he has a pretty deep voice, so he is actually a pretty good threat. He doesn't have he doesn't have that big of a screen time. However, his presence and his impact on the story is actually felt throughout the entire movie. He isn't just somebody that you toss aside or don't really think much about. No, Huntrix actually takes him seriously, and we should too. And I like how they do that. What I like so with these characters, the characters are well written. The girls, Huntrix, they're lovable characters with three-dimensional characteristics. Huntrix, they are good fighters who take care of demons, but they're not invincible. I love this. It is actually a breath of fresh air in a market where most female characters only have good fighting as their only value. Like the only reason that people would the writers will want people to care about like a female character, or even in some cases like a male character, is that they're a good fighter. Well, what's beyond that? What's going on inside? That's what I care about the most. What's their struggle? What's their aspirations? What's their dreams? And what's their challenge? And they can be good fighters, but they're not invincible. They take hits. They get scrapes and cuts, and they falter, they fall short, they don't win every time. Their doubts and fear and shame, it can tear them apart. It's their weakness. It's what prevents them from being good fighters. And I love that. Every character in this movie has a humorous side without making them silly or annoying. Yes, even Gima has a little moment where he can be a little humorous, or like maybe say a little bit joke, a lighthearted thing. But again, especially with Huntrix, the girls' silliness and willingness to be silly around each other makes them more relatable and enjoyable to watch. Characters' insecurities, they become present and they steer the tone of scenes. There are deep-seated issues and insecurities. It's not surface level stuff. Some things may be surface level, but they actually dive deep into what makes characters tick, and more importantly, what they struggle and what wears them down. I love that. The film doesn't brush their feelings aside, but it actually presents them front and center, and it forces the characters to actually face it head on and find a way to overcome it. And the last thing about these characters, the motivations for these characters are admirable and easy to root for. So characters are great. Let me talk about the story. Let me just category of the story. A quick synopsis. A group of demon fighting women front as K-pop celebrities while trying to hold back an evil force from consuming all life. So that's the overall synopsis I can do without spoiling too much. But all in all, there's a group of singers of female singers. They call themselves Huntrix. They are trying to create this seal/shield barrier of energy around the world called the Hanmoon. They're trying to create the Hanmoon, which will cover the whole world and lock demons away along with their leader, Grima. A group of demons pose as a K-pop boy band to steal Huntrix fans. And all the while this happening, both leaders of each party form an unexpected connection, navigating their shame and identity. That's the overall plot point of this story. The premise itself, I don't think it's what I would say is the most original in idea, but original in execution. There are stories of people who fight evil in secret. Think about all the type of vigilante type of stories out there. So the idea of people fronting as somebody else, but in secret they are fighting this evil and trying to do good without other people knowing. That's been done before. However, how many stories do you guys know about where it's about a K-pop band? Yeah, I didn't think so. So this is quite unique in itself. It is original in itself. So, the story itself, the story is well constructed and easy to follow. There is steady progression towards a common goal with stakes and challenges along the way. Nothing is easy, and any victory has to be achieved through one's strength and skills alone, not for the sake of plot convenience or plot armor. Something you guys should know about me, if you haven't already known, I cannot stand the term. I cannot stand plot armor or plot convenience. And what do I mean about plot armor? For those who don't know about plot armor basically keeps characters alive for the sake of keeping the character alive in a situation where their chances of surviving are very slim. So, imagine there's a zombie movie and there's a main character, or say two main characters, and they're in a place where they're surrounded by a horde of zombies, and their means of escape is very limited, and they're surrounded and about to be grabbed, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's a big helicopter that comes and starts, mowing down all these zombies around them and keeping them safe. I don't know, plot armor just kind of brings a whole lot of questionable. It just brings a lot of doubt to the plausibility of these things, and especially if it's done over and over again, where the chances that a character is going to survive is high because the writers are afraid to kill off characters. I don't know. I'm not going to ramble on too much about it. I just don't like plot armor. I like it when stories actually take risks with their characters, but I also like it when stories establish the characters as ones who can actually stand on their own. I like that. And the fact that if someone survives a situation that they probably wouldn't have any otherwise, it's through not just by sheer dumb luck or convenience. No, it's by their skills and skills alone. I like that. So anyway, this story in K-pop Demon Hunters does that really well. And the other thing for the story, it mixes drama, humor, music, and spooky moments pretty well. It's kind of close to a perfect blend that doesn't insult each tone and genre. When they include these type of genres or include some humorous takes or even some drama, it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. Everything flows together very well. So I really like it. The story's really good. Couple more things I'll share about in the spoiler-free section. That one being the humor. This movie is genuinely very funny. I was not expecting to laugh as much as I did when I watched it. I still laugh a lot to the humor to this day, even when I know when it's coming. The humor is blended in without fully stopping the momentum of scenes, which is, man, it's so needed in a lot of movies. There's some really good visual gags, like split-second physical appearance changes or just face changes or anything like that, or background actors or props popping up and everything. There's the type of humor that like a character will say, "I don't want this," and then it cuts immediately to that thing that they did not want, and they're still involved. I don't know. It gets me every time. There's a lot of really good witty banter / comments between characters, especially between rivals. There's a big tiger character just named Derpy. I'm just going to say Derpy himself. I don't need to explain it. When you watch it, you'll understand why. And then, of course, there's also like returning gags that were established in the beginning of the movie or throughout that just keep kind of recurring without overstaying its welcome. It's really good. The humor itself, for me, it never feels out of place. I think the writers knew when to incorporate the humor into the story. There wasn't a joke for every scene, especially in the emotional scenes. Some scenes allowed itself to actually be, serious and drama and just full of drama. And I love that. Um, if there were jokes in emotional scenes, they were pretty light and they carried into the emotional moments as kind of like a little bit of a break between like some tension of characters. For instance, there's a scene for the song called Free. The scene, the moments happening into that song, there's like there's a little joke or even just a little bit of humor, like a light humor between some characters, and I think that does really well. The writers, I believe they knew how to make the humor flow with the characters and yeah, not halt the story to get a laugh. Except for, cut off gags like the burping on a plane, and that type of thing. But that breaks any tension to showcase the girls' abilities and their stance against the demons. These jokes, it doesn't take away, their value, and even shows what these characters are capable of. They're not jokes. They're just silly people. Well, they're people that can be silly. I like that. It is a breath of fresh air, and I cannot emphasize this enough, and I'm probably going to say this a whole lot more times. It is a breath of fresh air to have a genuinely funny movie where the jokes don't feel forced or pretentious. When I rewatch it, I still laugh pretty hard in places, even when I know what will happen. um, yeah, humor is great. I like good humor. And then the last thing I will share and talk to you guys about in the non-spoilers, the action. Let's talk about the action. We have K-Pop Demon Hunters. There's going to be action. And, an action movie can only be as good as the action. Thankfully, this movie doesn't have to rely on the action itself to be a good movie. Everything else that has come before, that I've mentioned before, can carry it on its own. The action just really kind of ties it all together in a nice, neat little bow. So that saying, the action fight scenes are very good. They aren't the focus, as I said. They aren't the focus, and sometimes they can be very quick, but they are entertaining to watch, and they carry good story beats. These action scenes aren't filler. Every fight scene establishes a character's abilities, their struggles, and their tension. If you take one fight scene out of the movie, take one fight scene out, and it takes away an important bridge to the next scenes. And just like the songs of this movie, every fight scene is different from the other. I love that. They try to shake it up and they try to offer a little bit of variety. And that's great. I love it. These fights, they can be reminiscent of, anime fighting styles. There's fluid and fast-paced camera angles and shots / cuts, you name it. Like for instance, there's a shot that happens in a bathhouse where where these characters are flying all over, like they're jumping around off the walls and running, sliding across, fighting these demons, and the camera's moving and trying to track behind them as best as possible. And sometimes it even moves in many ways that is very hard to pull off in live action. So another a great way, or at least a great ability, an advantage that animated movies have over live action movies. These fights, these fight scenes, they have vibrant color. Some of them have vibrant colors popping up in every scene. It's not overwhelming, but it does kind of make the fight and the impacts themselves pop itself. I don't know if that little pun made sense, but anyway. And on top of, the fact that these action sequences aren't filler, they complement a lot of the songs, a lot of these musical numbers. And a lot of the songs that take place in this movie are accompanied by the action. They kind of go hand in hand. It's like a symbiotic relationship. So action is great. Everything, pretty much everything about this movie is great. Um, I don't know if I have a whole lot of complaints about it. Maybe some things do move pretty quickly, but I don't think at least for me, it doesn't lose me. The movie doesn't lose me, and it doesn't feel like I need to sit back and I need to like pause. It actually moves in a pretty steady pace, and I like that. So that is that is the non-spoiler section about this movie that I love genuinely so much. So I will give you guys a spoiler warning. I will be going into spoilers and talking about the whole plot of the movie. So if you do not want to be spoiled, I will give you guys some time to just exit out of this. Thank you guys for joining. For those who leave now, yeah, I hope I'll be seeing you guys into the next episode. But if you're going to stay for the spoilers, I'll give you guys some time. Okay, Let's continue on with the spoilers. You have been warned. Well, let me start this off. I'm going to go through the story summary. Um, so here is what K-pop Demon Hunters is about. The movie begins with a giant crowd in a stadium waiting for the concert to begin for their favorite band, Huntrix. Everything transitions from the concert to a flashback narration sequence of hundreds of years ago in feudal Korea. Demons, covered in patterns across their bodies, roamed the earth and terrorized the people and villages, sucking out their souls and feeding it to the demon world where WILA resides. Then, three women, with their voices and skills, formed the first group of hunters and fought back against the horde of demons. Their voices connected the souls of the people to create the energy shield around the world known as the Han Moon. From generation to generation, these hunters brought people together with their voices, strengthening the Han Moon and keeping the demons at bay. Their ultimate goal is to create the golden Han Moon, which would seal off WILA and the demon world forever. Celine, a former hunter and lead singer of the previous trio, passes down the responsibility and calling of hunters to the new trio, Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. Together, they become Huntrix and amass a huge following of passionate fans. When we cut back to the excitement of the concert, we get the backstory and exposition for every member of Huntrix through the fans' perspectives. When Bobby, their manager, is trying to organize the final details of the concert before it begins, he sees Huntrix is still on their plane. On the plane, Huntrix devours their pre-show food with humorous takes before realizing that the flight attendants and pilots on the plane are demons. They all fight the demons to the tune of How It's Done. From the hand-to-hand combat, to filling their ramen cups with hot water and waiting for them to cook, to the front part of the plane being ripped off, to them free-falling to the stadium and finishing the last of the demons. As they sing the final notes through the song, they see pulses of gold across the surface of the Han Moon, showing how close they are to the golden Han Moon. In the demon realm, WILA and the demons come to realizations about how close the golden Han Moon is being completed. Jinu, a man with demon patterns and a strong singing voice, approaches WILA with four other demons to present their idea to stop Huntrix from completing their goal by posing as a boy band. WILA goes along with the idea, and Jinu presents his request upon succeeding, to wipe the voices of his memories away. As Mira and Zoe prepare for a long break, Rumi releases their most important song to the public, Golden. It is immediately a huge hit, and Huntrix promises a live performance, hoping to complete the Golden Han Moon. While practicing for their live performance, Rumi's voice struggles and breaks. Upon excluding herself, we find out that Rumi is covered in demon patterns across her arms and chest and neck. She has kept it hidden from everyone. Through another quick flashback, Celine instructs a young Rumi to hide her patterns until the Hanmoon is completed. In the present, Rumi struggles to keep her voice strong, instilling fear in her that their work cannot be completed. With rage, she screams out into the world, causing a distorted ripple across the surface of the Hanmoon. Mira and Zoe, unaware of Rumi's patterns, try to help her find a remedy to heal her voice. They go to a healer's office named Healer Han, who provides them with a box of tonics and insight to each of their insecurities. When leaving, they run into a group of young, attractive men called the Saja Boys, led by Jinu, who turns out to be the demons in disguise. The Saja Boys host a live performance of their song Soda Pop, immediately cultivating a following from the public. Huntrix finds out that they are demons and what their plans are, so they aim to stop them. The Saja Boys and Huntrix run into each other on the stage of a game show, intensifying their rivalry until their confrontation ends up in a men's bathhouse. Huntrix fights against demons sent to kill them and suck the souls out of all the people. In a one-on-one fight, Jinu learns of Rumi's patterns and wants to know how she got them. Huntrix later comes up with the idea to create a diss track song to fight against the Saja Boys at the largest event for singers, the Idol Awards. Shortly after, Rumi is presented with a request to meet Jinu by the likes of Derpy and Sussy, a giant blue tiger and a six-eyed bird with a hat. Rumi meets with Jinu and learns about who he is and how he came to have patterns. He shares briefly about how he came under the control of Guima. He struggled in the streets hundreds of years ago until he made a deal with Guima to become a good singer for the palace and changing their outcome. But the patterns took over and he became a servant for Guima. He tries to connect to her about her patterns. She dismisses the ties to him. Huntrix comes up with the name of Takedown for their song. And then there's a montage sequence of them fighting against demons and coming up with the rhythms and lyrics. Meanwhile, Rumi is struggling with the secret of her patterns, which is causing distance between her and the others. And during the montage, Bobby and Huntrix are realizing that their devoted fans are becoming Saja Boys fans. Then there's a table signing scene for Huntrix and their fans, but the Saja Boys hijack it, and it leads to a divide amongst the fans. They set up one giant table for Huntrix and Saja Boys to sign together. Amid funny gags and interactions, Rumi and Jinu bicker back and forth about Rumi's patterns and Jinu's affiliations with demons. The Saja Boys leave when Jinu is offered an uplifting drawing from a young fan. Later that night, Rumi is in her room with Derpy and Sussy. She struggles with the lyrics of Takedown as she feels the weight of them levied against her. Then Mira joins her room and shares concerns and frustrations towards Rumi of late, accusing of secrets being withheld. Rumi shares her uncertainty of the song for the Idol Awards. She then meets with Jinu in private and offers a plan to set him free from Guima's hold. In theory, if Huntrix wins the Idol Awards, then the Golden Hanmoon will be completed, meaning that Jinu will no longer be tied to Guima if he stays on Rumi's side. Jinu needs time to think, to which then they run into a lady giving bracelets to them, and both of them share a sudden intimate touch, sparking some emotions and feelings between them. Huntrix practices their song on an empty stage, but Rumi refuses to cooperate with the song, leading to tension between the three. They are cut off by a demon horde, terrorizing a high-speed train. They sing Takedown while fighting, but Rumi reflects upon the lyrics too long, causing them to be shaken up. The passengers in the train have disappeared, and Huntrix is holding on by a thread. Rumi later meets with Jinu again about the plan regarding the Idol Awards. They sing the song Free together, and open up about their connections and similarities to each other. The sequence heals Rumi's voice and silences the voices inside Jinu's head, so he agrees to help Huntrix win. Guima pulls Jinu back to his realm to threaten him with more shame and pain if he works with Huntrix. Rumi reconciles with Mira and Zoe in a heartfelt scene where they share their fears and challenges together. They decide upon Golden to be the song they sing at the Idol Awards. At the Idol Awards, both Huntrix and the Saja Boys are preparing to sing on stage, where the Saja Boys are first to go. But due to them fighting with each other, Huntrix performs Golden for the first time live. When Rumi performs her solo in the song and all is going well, Mira and Zoe see Bobby taken away by demons backstage. When they reach him, they find out that the real Bobby is still up close to the stage and the one they chased was a demon. Before Rumi could finish the song, with hints of gold on the Hanmoon's surface, two demons hijack the stage and play Takedown, posing as Mira and Zoe. They take her jacket off and expose her patterns to the public. Rumi's fear and rage leads to an outburst that shatters the overhead lights and terrorizes the crowd. At that same time, Mira and Zoe see her patterns on stage for the first time. Horrified and lost, Rumi meets Mira and Zoe and tries to explain her actions and patterns. They sever their ties with Rumi and reluctantly prepare to fight her if need be. Rumi runs to find Genu about the trick pulled on stage. Genu reveals the truth about his shame and past, how he traded his family and loved ones for his own personal gain, and how they both don't deserve anything more than their shame and their guilt. Defeated, Rumi leaves to find Celine, letting the integrity of the Hanmoon fail. Mira, Zoe, Bobby, and the rest of the crowd are enticed and manipulated by Guima and the Saja boys to gather together for their final performance. Rumi finds Celine at the old tree and asks for her to end her life before she fully becomes a demon. Celine won't do it because of the promise to Rumi's mother and urges Rumi to cover her patterns and find a way to convince Mira and Zoe that none of it is real. Rumi stands up to Celine's teachings about her patterns and, by extension, her worth. She declares she can no longer hide who she is, despite Celine's reluctance to acknowledge the patterns or even look her in the eyes. Celine is afraid that the integrity of the Hanmoon will fail, and Rumi leaves, with a vague statement about allowing the Hanmoon to be destroyed. Back at the final performance of the Saja Boys, crowds by the thousands muster in a stadium to watch them perform Your Idol. The singing in red background hypnotizes everyone watching. Guima shows up in the performance and is ready to consume everyone in the crowd. As the song begins to finish, everyone slowly walks towards Guima's flames until Rumi's voice breaks out far back. Rumi arrives at the stadium, almost looking defeated and giving up to Guima, who mocks her. Then Rumi's eyes shift back to her human eyes as she declares that the old Hanmoon is destroyed and they will make a new one. Rumi steps forward through the walkways and stages and begins to sing out what it sounds like. The song about her letting go of her shame amid the fact that her patterns will never disappear. The song resonates with Mira and Zoe first, who make their way down to the stages to be reunited and be hopeful and uplifting. Guima, his demons, and the Saja boys try to stop Huntrix from making their way to Guima, but Huntrix makes their way towards him by fighting back with their voices and skills. Guima enlarges his form and blows out a beam of fire energy towards Rumi, who is only able to block the attack. Before Guima's attack could overcome Rumi, Genu steps in front of it and takes the final blow. Both him and Rumi share a heart-to-heart moment before Genu is burned up and killed, giving his soul to Rumi before dying. As Rumi runs to Guima, the voices and souls of the crowds provide energy and power to Huntrix as they are able to defeat the Saja boys and Guima. With their voices combined together, with no walls set up, and they are able to connect with each other, they make the ultimate Hanmoon, sealing off the demon realm for good. After everything resolves, Rumi finally joins Mira and Zoe at the bathhouse, and they all can finally prepare for a long break. But as they are just about to start, they come across some of their fans, and they agree to be with the fans and end their break. The final shot is Huntrix greeting their fans in the street, and the camera moving up to a nearby rooftop to reveal Derpy and Sussy relaxing, with the surface of the new Hanmoon glimmering in the light. That was the whole plot. That was the plot of the whole movie. Now that's out of the way, I can go through some of the highlights of the movie that I really like and I feel are worth sharing. But first off, let me get some water. That was a lot of talking. Full disclosure, a few weeks ago, I actually tried recording this episode for the very first time. I had close to 50 pages worth of notes, bullet points of me going through the movie and saying, hey, I like this, I like that, I like that. When I tried actually going through the movie, going through the review, I realized I was 2.5 hours into the episode, like, for the review, but only reaching the 20-minute mark of the movie. It's an hour and 40-ish minutes. I I had to stop it at that point because it was 11:30 at night. I had to wake up. I couldn't I couldn't be able to do it. So I had to rework a lot of stuff in the outline. So I took a lot of stuff out that I think could easily just be, summarized in the categories that I explained in the non-spoiler section. But for now, I have a whole bunch of bullet points and an outline to go through for the for about 20 some pages. But I'm going to talk and share through these moments that I truly like and I love that stand out. Some of them I might go into detail with, but I'm going to try to be faithful and true and remain focused on my script so I don't wander off. So if there's anything that I share and that I talk about but don't really explain, and if you guys want any, explanation or even just more, in-depth part about this, reach out, message me, tell me, ask me about it, and I will do my best to give good depth, good explanation to it. Anyway, with let's just talk. Let's just start in, shall we? Um, so the opening shot, the opening shot of the large crowd in the stadium. Um, the sound of the crowd is rising up before the opening logos are done. That kind of transition that happens where, you're seeing the opening logos for the companies that were involved in making this movie, and then you start to hear some sound, like, a little bit muffled or just very low, and then it starts to rise up until it cuts to the very first shot of the movie, and then the sound is a little more emphasized. You see that a lot in, like, sports movies, or even some action movies. This one's no different. I don't know. I'm I don't know. That kind of transition from the logos to the opening scene, it really just tickles that part of the brain that just feels right. I love good sound design. I'm a sucker for good sound design, and, like, I like that. It's not, the most revolutionary type of thing that they did. They didn't come up with it, but movies that use it are great. I love it. Um, I like the narration about the world of the hunters and the demons. So right after shows the crowd, cheering on Huntrix, it goes into, the narration. There's a moment where there are, when the demons are, entering the world and, like, attacking the world, there are these veins and patterns across the ground and the surface of the ground. They look like cracks or lightning bolts and everything just spreading about to the villages. It's like a pink or the slash maroon color. It's similar to the type of the color of the patterns that you would find on the demons, like, faces and their skin. I like that kind of. I like how they did that. I like when the first hunters are revealed. Um, I like the harmony of their voices when they create the first Hanmoon, mixed in with the narration, because, like, the voices, like, when they're singing, it's in the background of the narration, mixed with some of the good score. Like, there's some really good instrumental score that's happening beneath it all. And I like when the first Hanmoon's created and you see, like, an overview of the world, and, like, the energy of the Hanmoon's, like, just flooding around it. I like that. After like the first Hanmoon's created, there's a quick montage of the groups of hunters throughout the years. It cuts through different decades. Like, there's the 40s, 50s, 60s ish, like the 90s, early 2000s. It's very quick. It's kind of like a blink and you'll kind of miss a moment. It's like it isn't emphasized a lot. But one thing I do like about this montage is the camera movement that happens in this montage. The camera movement is the same for every group, and it moves in a crescent type of formation. So imagine that you are facing towards the stage. You see the three singers standing in the center of the stage. If you move the camera where you keep the camera focused on the singers themselves, but you move it closer to the stage. So that way it's kind of almost perpendicular with the edge of the stage, but then you move it in an 180-degree type motion. You move it around it. It's I forget what the correct term of that camera movement is, but they do that for every group of singers from the through the decades. And as it moves from one side, as it pans around, oh, it's a panning motion. As it pans around, um, while keeping the center of the frame strictly on the singers, when it moves from the right to the left, and then it wraps around, and then it comes to a new group of singers, and then it goes around, and then it wraps around again, and it's a new set of singers. I like that type of movement. I There hasn't been a whole lot of movies that do use that specific camera technique, but what I think was really cool about it, I like to see it as like that particular camera technique is like a rising sun. It's the sun rising from the east to the west. It's a passing day, and like that, the camera moving across these group of singers and moving on to the next one. It's like it's a signifying like the time of passage. It's a passage of time moving from one generation to the next. It's like the sun rises on one group of hunters, and then it sets on the same one, and it rises on a new set of hunters. I don't know if that's what the filmmakers intended on that particular scene. That's just what I get out of it, and that's what I really love about it. Um, uh, Again, I like the score. I like the instrumental score for the first scene. I think it's great. It brings intrigue to the setting of the story, mixed in with the harmony of the singers. Um, Not to mention, I also like there's a transition from all three, from Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, standing before Celine. There's a camera facing towards them, and it transitions to a giant billboard of them as Huntrix at the stadium. Um, I like the music transition with it. It's good and exciting. It has a little bit of electrical guitar riff to it. And I'm just like, ooh, it gets me excited. I like it. Um, and then I like the collection of fans talking about the Huntrix members. There's a lot of funny moments. I'm not going to go through them all. Um, but the two biggest ones that stick out to me, like the funny moments in that particular scene, um, there's like three guys, a group of guys that are crying over how good Rumi's voice is, and like the tears themselves, it has a lot of like light reflections, like waves down their cheeks. It's funny how they do that. And then the another gag I like, another funny moment I like in that scene is when some girls are talking about Mira, and this one person is saying like, who else can pull off wearing a sleeping bag at the Met Gala? And it shows a shot of Mira posing in a sleeping bag. Only her, everything but her face is covered, and she's just striking a pose on the steps. It's just kind of funny. Um, um, I like the scene. I like the moment where Huntrix is eating their pre-show meals, um, where they get to be where they're really they're really silly and just devouring all this food. Um, the girls, they feel real and humorous. They're talking with mouths full. They're making funny anime faces. They're sniffing sushi rolls. Rumi goes along like runs her nose along a sushi roll and just oh she makes a really funny noise and a funny face. And at the same time, like it cuts right back to her, and she's like, oh, she's shoving the whole thing down, just like eating it, being absolutely ridiculous. And then of course they're getting frustrated over their ramen cups without water. It's pretty cool. When they find out that the demons are in the plane, and the demons are actually leading them away from the concert, there's a part they're talking to Bobby through FaceTime, and when they find out that the demons are on the plane and they're leading them away, they all kind of just slowly turn their head, like with angry looks, like more like disappointed, like just like frustrated looks towards them. Zoe has like mouthful of fries and some food. She has like an angry face, and she says, when Mira and Rumi are saying like, "Why do they do this all the time?" uh, Zoe says with her mouth full of food, "They will feel my wrath," and like crunching some food in her hands. But what's really funny about that particular moment is that they have subtitles on the bottom of the screen. If you don't watch the movie in subtitles, that's probably the only time in the movie where there is actually subtitles inserted into the movie, and it's because Zoe's mouth is full of food and you cannot hear what she's saying. But the way that she says it, and her eyes and her face, is "They will feel my wrath." It gets me every time. So I like that moment. I love the song how it's done. I think this song really kind of really drew me in and kind of solidified me for the fact of like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a fan of the music. The music's going to be great. Um, just the whole sequence of how it's done. The fight on the plane is really good. I like how they forge the weapons. They forge their weapons out of the Hanmoon. They use the energy, like the energy swirls around their hands, and their weapons like manifest. I like how Zoe, she runs her fingers along the surface of a table and then pulls out her weapons that way. I like the weapons that all the Huntrix have. Rumi has a sword. Mira has a curved moon sword, which is a blade at the end of a pole. And then Zoe has like throwing knives. Um, they're all distinct and great. Like they're all different. I love it. Um, there's a moment where they say the line of like, they drop the line like how it's done. It's like how it's done, done, done. Once that happens and like the beat and the rhythm is kicking in, there's a scene, there's a shot that's outside of the plane, and it shows demons being struck against the windows of the plane to the rhythm of the song. And every time a demon is struck against the windows, there's different neon colors in the windows backgrounds. I think it's pretty cool. Um, like after the whole how it's done sequence all the way down to the end of the concert, like inside the building, the stadium's pretty good. I like it. In the demon realm, like shortly after that, in the scene of the demon realm, when we're first introduced to it, the stewardess, one of the stewardess demons that was on the plane earlier trying to fight them, she's walking nervously towards this big giant altar. What I love, I like this particular moment where there's a lower shot. The camera is placed lower, almost perpendicular, hovering just above the surface of the ground, and it's tracking her feet as she's walking towards the altar. It's a quick little shot. She stumbles a little bit on herself, but what I like what they did with that, it's a good little visual storytelling of showing, it's emphasizing her fear, and it's showing that what she's approaching should be feared, and that's something that audiences can relate to and understand. I just like that. I just like when they do something like that. There's a when uh when Grima is telling everybody like how the Hanmoon's about to be sealed, how it's almost about to be completed, and they'll be sealed off forever. There's a quick little shot of this demon, a water demon, that is crying. He's like making some crying noises. I just have to say this though, the design of the water demon makes me laugh. It makes me chuckle because all I can explain how the water demon looks like, the water demons, they look like a shaved Jared Leto with wet hair. It's like Jared Leto decided to shave everything on his face and just came out of the shower. That's what they kind of look like. So it makes me chuckle every time. Um, I like Genu's introduction. He stands on top of this big giant structure and he floats down. He's playing an instrument. I think it's called a pipa. And then when he's walking towards Grima's altar, Grima's like place. I love how he changes from speaking a song to singing it, kind of like in between verses. I like those little things. He has a really good voice, really strong voice. It's pretty good. And then when he introduces the plan of all five of them being like a boy band, he tells Grima how the only way that they can stop Huntrix is by going after what powers the Hanmoon in the first place, the fans. And then they do this boy band pose. Like all five of them, they pose on top of the altar, and there's like a little boy band sound to it, sound bite. It's like ooh, I like that. Um, when Grima challenges it or even questions it, like Genu snaps his fingers and all their their demon forms change to more human features. Um, there's a when Genu snaps his finger and they all change, there's a sound of a soda pop can hissing, like it's someone's opening a soda pop can, which plays into their most defining song, which is Soda Pop. I like that little detail. Um, I like the introduction, or at least the concept of Genu's memories when he asked about the voices of his memories being erased. Because Guima tells Genu, like, I've known you for so long, you don't do anything. If you can't get anything in return, what do you want? There we see a split-second frame when Genu is recalling on his memories. We see a split-second frame of an older woman and a young girl from his perspective. It immediately sets the stage that it's from his perspective, but it also leaves the question of who he is. First off, who Genu is and who they are. I like the little intrigue about that. I like when movies kind of show little like flashbacks or even flash forwards or even just reminiscent thoughts and everything. I like after it shows that quick little shot of the older woman and the young girl. Genu's face, it shows regret and shame when Grima is questioning his motives. And that whole thing just plays into the theme of shame that is prominent throughout the whole movie. One thing I do like about something that happens after the scene, like when the Huntrix, when the girls are getting ready for this long break, like a hiatus that they want to take for themselves, which is like I think a couple months or something like that. Like they're all winding down, they're all getting ready for their break, and they're all like they have like their like bathrobes on or anything, just kind of ready to relax. One thing I do like that's different between from Rumi compared to Zoe and Mira is that Rumi wears a turtleneck. She wears a turtleneck underneath her robe, while Mira and Zoe don't. And the reason why is because of her patterns that are covering that go up that cover her collarbone that goes up to her neck. I like that. If you guys watch the movie, take note of what Rumi wears to cover her neck. It seems like every single scene that she's in, there's something that covers her neck until the moment when her patterns are revealed. Ever since and from that point on to the rest of the movie, she doesn't cover them. But until that moment happens, there's always something that covers her neck. So keep note of that. I like how they put that in there. If you're looking for it and paying attention, you will find it. I like when Rumi is secretly preparing for the release of their new single, the Golden Song. When she's going through, the outfits like in their wardrobes. I like the designs of the outfits that they use. It has the gold lines and like gold lace, like across with the white and black outfits. I like it. It's pretty unique. Um, I like the scene where Zoe and Mira are walking into their living room with their full robes on and bath towels over their head, and they're carrying baskets and wooden plates full of food, and they're just chanting couch, 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 because they're ready to wind down. And I like when they're relaxing a little bit, and then a couple seconds pass, and then all of a sudden Rumi's head pops up from behind the couch, looking at them like with a really wide smile, and she starts to slowly stand up behind the couch, and both Zoe and Mira realize, wait, this song has been released. I like the whole sequence. That whole scene is really funny. Not to mention, I like there's like a little quick shot where Rumi is holding out both outfits to the rest of the girls, and they're on the couch. They're crying because they want to relax, but they can't now because they're going on press tour. Like they're going on a press tour tonight on that same night. But they're in the shot in the frame when she's holding out their outfits. It's from her perspective. The collars of their outfits line up with their necks, like from her perspective. I don't know. I like how they do things like that. And then when Bobby comes in later, like excited about how the ratings for the Golden Song has skyrocketed, and he's like, "Guys, girls." And, when he comes in, there's a shot of all three of them standing up. Rumi has her hands uh, like she has her hands on her hips, like standing up proud and tall and like smiling. And meanwhile, Zoe and Mira are slouched over while standing. Their knees are pressed together while their feet are kind of a little bit apart. They're hunched shoulders and everything, and they're just slouched while standing up, and they're all like just defeated and just like groaning, like oh. And there's Zoe says the line like "No more relaxing time." I like it. I love that line. It's one of my favorites. Um, I love the Golden song. This song, it definitely is the defining song. Like it is the flagship song for this movie. I think it's what helped bring it into popular, at least made it popular in this culture, and brought a lot of fans. This song is deserving of the Oscar for Best Original Song, like hands down. I totally agree with the decision. Um, the whole sequence of the Golden, like the music video in the movie, is really good, especially the build up to it. One thing I do like about the Golden song that I think is really great, the first three shots of each of the member of Huntrix shows them in an isolated, dark space, um, whether it be on a rooftop, in a bed, or in a hallway. And then there are rays of golden light shining on them alone. It's like slivers of golden, like a golden light, as if they're being called to their golden destiny. I like it. Um, when the song reaches the slow melody with Rumi's voice only, like it's just her solo, um, in the scene that is happening, there's a I like how the camera moves across the horizontal line. It moves across a horizontal line, looking into two changing rooms. It passes through the first changing room that has Mira and Zoe hyping each other up, and then it goes to Rumi, who is separate in another. Like she has her back leaning against the wall. She's leaning against the wall that is closest to the changing room that the other two are in. It shows that she longs to be with her friends. Great visual storytelling right there. And then even then, the wall serves as a divide. And I love how when they use the horizontal camera movement, the tracking across, um, that goes to show that there is a separation between the two. Um, yeah. As as I've mentioned, how she wears turtlenecks through the movie to cover her neck. Even her golden outfit for the song has the neck and collarbone covered. If you look at Mira and Zoe's, they don't have those. Only hers does. Now you may say that because that she's the lead singer, and so like maybe the lead singer has a different outfit from the others, but it plays well in her favor because she has to keep it secret. I like it. And when they're practicing the Golden Song for their live performance, they're on the stage in the place they're isolated, they're alone and practicing. There's a scene where Bobby he accidentally smacks a cameraman while watching the girls' routine. I think that's pretty funny. When Rumi's voice starts to break a little bit and she has to take a break and she has to leave outside just right before the live performance is supposed to happen, Bobby makes the comments like there's that joke of where he says one thing and then it cuts immediately to the same thing or emphasizing what he talked about. For instance, he says like, it's okay. Like, he's trying not to panic. He's like, okay, don't worry. Imagine there's not 10,000 fans outside. And then immediately cuts to outside of the front doors where the fans are being wild and the two security guards like, there's 10,000 fans outside and they're like, they're really scary and everything. I like it. It's pretty good. When Rumi exits the building through the back entrance and she's running away because she realizes the patterns had come to her throat and it's affecting her voice, she's running away. In the background, while she's running, you can see that there are some of the fans back there. They don't see her running away, but what it shows is that she's running away from her purpose. I like that. Again, I don't know if that's a purpose. I don't know if that's the intention of the filmmakers, in that scene, but that's what I see. There's also another wide shot of Rumi running across the horizon. In the left, top left corner, there is a large golden billboard showcasing this song. But again, she's running in the opposite direction. She's running away from her golden destiny. When she I love the moment when she's on top of the building, when she's scared about her voice being being lost, and being affected, and that she can't fully complete the Hanmoon. There's a moment where she screams out, "Why?" Like she gets really frustrated and angry. And she says, "Why is this happening? Why?" When she says that, there's a rumbling across the city, and there's a pinkish like pulse that goes across the that ripples across the blue surface of the Hanmoon, and it frightens her, and she's like kind of step back a little bit. That's an that particular scene, like the emotional impact that happens, and even just the uh I don't know, the fear of what's happening. It's a great moment of how it's not broken up by an unnecessary joke. I like it. I really love it actually, and um, and then like at the end of that particular scene, like there's a shot of after she says why, and she's afraid of like seeing that big giant pulse across the Hanmoon. It is followed by a faint it is followed by young Rumi. Like there's a faint sound of young Rumi's voice singing a song that the hunters sing together, like as like their oath or their creed or something like that. I just like that little. I like the little touch they do with that. Little. I'm gonna quickly just share this because I didn't have this into the notes, but I just remembered this now. I have a theory about when. I have a theory for this movie. And so from this point on, there are moments where the Hanmoon is breaking. There are parts of the Hanmoon that's breaking, and demons are rushing in by a lot. And like Huntrix is wondering why it's so big. Like what's happening to the Hanmoon? Um, the Hanmoon is never the same, and then it just starts to deteriorate and break apart. My theory, I have a theory about this. I don't know if the movie actually fully explains it, but I think after Rumi screams out and there's that huge pulse after she says why, it broke the integrity of the Hanmoon. The Hanmoon basically broke because of Rumi. That's my theory. That's my theory from there. So, I like how I like how they after that scene when Rumi's returning to the apartment, I like how Mira and Zoe, they all are good friends. They're waiting. They're not disappointed that the live performance was done. Um, I just like how they work all together. They're there to care for each other, and even if everything's not fully transparent, I like how they talk and they are supportive. It's kind of like how in real life when we're there for close friends, when we make really good friends, we want to be there for our friends. We want to help them out. We're not going to learn everything about our friends, and there are going to be some secrets and some things that we want to hold from them. But the good friends are the ones that stay true and like to you, and they help you out. I like what they did with this. Um, there's a part when they're talking with each other, and they make a joke. Like Mira and Joe make jokes, like they mimic the words that Celine has spoken over them as hunters. They say, "We are hunters, voices strong, our fears and shame must never be seen." They say it in the way of kind of like mimicking or Celine's voice itself. And then after that, like they immediately go back to a serious talk about joking and having fun. They're like, "Oh yeah, like that's really good." No, but they do the um, funny little humorous like laughing, and then it cut right to serious. Like, no, that's what we need to do. I like how they do that. I like it. I'm a sucker for that kind of humor. Um, the Healer Hans scene. Healer Hans' character is quite unique and definitely stands out on its own because not only does he provide remedies, but there's a moment where his eyes are bulging, like bugging out of him, like really big, thick, as he's staring into their souls. He's making the sound as if he's really concentrating so hard. Um, that's pretty funny. Um, the I like the scene where Huntrix runs into the Saja boys for the very first time. Um, when they see before the Saja boys is able to around the corner in this hallway or like in this alleyway, they're scared that they're fans and the fans are going to recognize them, so they try to cover themselves up with hoodies and like their disguises. They have disguises on, like and like the Mira and Zoe, they hide behind Rumi while Rumi is holding this box of remedies and tonics. And then the Saja boys come around the corner, and immediately Mira and Zoe like stick their heads from behind Zoe with like like raise eyebrows, like, huh? Like, because they see these attractive guys coming before them and they're like, huh? And then there's a point where the Saja boys are walking together and they like do a hair flip, a synchronized hair flip. And then Mira and Zoe's like, they immediately have heart eyes over themselves. Like, oh, and they're just googly eyes over them. The whole sequence itself is really funny. I laugh every time. There's a moment where Abby, who his most defining feature is his abs. Abby, like, there's a slow motion part where he's walking and he's raising his arms up as if he's stretching, and Abby's shirt is becoming unbuttoned slowly, or like the buttons are snapping because the integrity is very weak compared to how tight the shirt is. And at the whole point, at least the whole time, Zoe's eyes are cartoonishly hilarious because um, her eyes like turn to like hearts, and then it turns to like abs, like it shows like different, like a six pack over her eyes as she starts to see his six pack starting to be revealed, and then it goes into like the buttons. Uh there's like a whole sequence of like one of the buttons like popping out, or like the buttons of his shirt starting to melt, or on her eyes it's like the buttons of his shirt, they're melting, and then it melts to butter, and then it melts, and then it goes into popcorn as his shirt is fully revealed. And when his shirt is open and his abs and like his whole chest is revealed, like she starts crying out popcorn. And like Mira is to the side, like Mira's over on the side wearing like her sunglasses, and she's eating the popcorn while also having popcorn popping out of her eyes as well. She's like mumbling like, oh, so hot and everything. I don't, that makes me laugh a lot. But disclosure, I should put a little disclosure about this particular scene. My wife and we don't allow our daughter to watch this scene just yet. Though the execution of the scene is hilarious and it brings out laughs because of the ridiculous nature of everyone, it involves the sexualization of a male by having his shirt slowly ripped open to reveal a toned and cut fit. We agreed it's a bit inappropriate just for a 6-year-old. Um, even when, uh, even though I love how they can show how demons try to appeal to our sinful and fleshly desires, that's exactly what a demon would do. They try to entice you by posing as something that appeals to your flesh, but it's still not good. And as of right now, we are. I still consider it as like an inappropriate moment. We have our daughter look away, and she does it. She looks away every time. And, she's going to wait a little bit before she's allowed to watch it. And when that happens, we'll have a discussion with her about it and how we are to look upon others. And with her, especially how she looks upon boys, with we need to look upon them with value and with how God created them to be. Um, I also do. I also think it's important to let her know, like, she she'll also have to come to terms with the appeal of the human body eventually when she gets older, especially when it hits puberty. Every person has done this when they hit puberty. They're like, oh, this person looks pretty attractive. We're just trying to teach her of like how to look at each other with respect and not looking them through the through sexualization and everything. But anyway, uh, once I like so I like the scene. I like the scene, even though we're very cautious, and we're intentional of how our daughter will view it soon. But in that scene, I also like when Rumi first sees Genu. Like Genu's in the background and everything. There's lights shining behind him. There's an emphasis. Genu does a hair flip, knocking Rumi's hoodie off in slow motion, um, which is pretty fun. There's they Genu, like and Rumi, they bump shoulders. She falls to the ground and drops the box in slow motion. The tonics are spilled out. There's a funny shot of Rumi's face as she's falling down. I don't know if I can explain. I don't know if I can replicate it well, but I don't know. It's really funny. And then Genu extends a hand, and Rumi's still in a trance, reaching out for his hand, and then he pulls it away and he brushes his shoulder, and it does that music warps out thing where it's like, yeah, and he cuts off, and he like shakes it, brushes his shoulder, and he's like, watch yourself, and it's followed by a gasp. That whole scene is just really funny. Which I had to put a little note here. I love how they allowed the girls to develop crushes over boys. I like how Huntrix actually is developing crushes on the Saja boys. It humanizes them and makes them more dynamic, especially when they find out that the Saja boys are demons. Mira and Zoe are have to struggle with the fact that they are developing crushes on these guys, even though they are actually demons. They have to stick true to their roles as hunters. Um, they stay true to their goal of wiping out all demons, but they also tackle with how easy it can be to be distracted by their physicality. Um, so like I like this because the past decade, it feels like in the past decade there's been a shift in how girls in lead roles are mostly portrayed, or how some people want them to be portrayed. Um, it's kind of seen like having feelings for boys and almost falling in a trance when seeing them was made out to be degrading to women, and almost like it's toxic and you should be avoiding it, when I think it's a natural way we as humans are created. God created us to have physical attractions to the opposite sex. We just need to be active in keeping our actions and thoughts in check. It's okay to develop on crush. It's okay to develop a crush on others. It's a natural thing. And I like how the movie allowed them to do that. It's pretty good. Um, when the soda pop, um, when the soda pop, the whole soda pop sequence, the song's happening. They're like the Huntrix, they hear the sound coming from outside in the public space, and they round a corner, and like they're about to go in. They readjust their disguises. I think it's like Mira puts over Rumi's hoodie and then pulls down on the strings. And when she pulls on the strings, her Rumi's eyes budge out, like or bug out, and because like she gets squeezed a little bit too much, and like her pupils are pointed in many different many ways. It's just a split second, because because her hoodie's pulled too tightly, and like she falls down because of it. But I laugh every time. It's really funny when they do that. And this movie, I love how this movie does not shy away at giving some embarrassing moment to these main characters. These main characters, they have really good, powerful moments, but they also have embarrassing moments too. They're human. Again, I love it. Um, throughout the song, like in the song sequence, there's a part where all the girls start bouncing their shoulders, especially because they're like, we shouldn't be dancing to this because they're demons, but it is kind of catchy. It's contagious. I like that. I like the part where the Saja boys are like making kissing sounds and throwing out these actual big giant hearts out into the crowds. Mira catches a heart before it can smack into Rumi, and she looks at it and is like, they can make hearts out of thin air, and then boom, one smacks into Zoe's face, and she makes a weird sound, a funny sound to it. It's pretty good. I like the mixture of Korean and English lyrics in these songs. It's good and it's catchy. I like the bounce. I like the beats, the rhythm of Soda Pop. I mean, it's not my favorite song of the bunch, but it's it's a song that is it's a very convincing boy band song. Um, but I also like that the lyrics also serve a double meaning. Whenever you listen to the lyrics, there's a double meaning to them. One interpretation is in the form of a love song, like an appeal song that a lot of boy bands do, where they try to woo a woman. There's a section where it says, "I need you to fill me up." That's an actual line that says, "I need you to fill me up." This song can be also seen through like the innuendo viewpoint. It can kind of come off as a sexually charged song. The other interpretation, for those knowing what they're looking for, I think it comes from their demon side, about sucking their souls and feeding off of it. There's like the different lines and lyrics that says like, "My little soda pop, every drop I drink up." Like they hide their intentions and sinister goals behind their facade and catchy rhythms. I love how they portray the demons in this movie. Shows that demons are not nice, that they are still manipulative, as demons are in real life. Anyway, um, and the fact that all the songs like that the Soda Pop and the Soda Pop song and the Your Idol song has amassed millions upon millions, even some billions of views on YouTube alone, shows the impact that a very convincing boy band can be. It's incredible what they do. After that, there's a gear up montage where Huntrix is trying to prepare them, trying to get ready to go and fight Saja Boys. They end up on top of this big giant building. They do a little pose, and like Rumi says, "Let's go kill these guys." All when they're standing on top of a tall skyscraper, they're zoomed out in the distance, but then you just briefly hear Zoe doing this caca caca sound. it's really fun. It just kind of brings into her centric character. The game show, the game show that the Saja Boys are on is pretty funny. They're doing a hot sauce challenge. While they're doing that, Huntrix is behind. It's like trying to sneak around the back. They're like planning their attack, and they're like, okay, we're gonna wait for this moment, and then when they pop out, we're gonna kill them, and they're gonna be done, done, done. And they all walk around with hunchbacks, and they're giggling like goblins. They're like hee 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 hee. I laugh every time. That's probably one of my favorites. Probably the funniest moment of the whole movie. I just can't get over it. There's a part when they're sliding. Their cover is blown, and they're welcomed onto the stage through slides. There's a slide that goes into a ball pit. As they're going down, the leather is squeaking, and it's making them squeak, and they're going down very, very slow. They're even saying like, the leather has betrayed us. Even the Saja Boys are like cringing to the their faces are cringing to the sound, and everyone else is like, make it stop. It's pretty funny. This is a pretty cool detail I like. When the Huntrix falls into the ball pit, as soon as Rumi sits up in the ball pit, there is a brief shot of the Saja Boys. And like they're all smiling, they're smirking, smiling down at Rumi. They're in this brief shot, their eyes, they flash their demon eyes while they're smiling. So like their demon eyes are a little bit more yellow in the pupils and the irises. So like just brief, it literally is a blink and you'll miss it. But if you're looking at it, you'll see as they're smiling and it shows a quick shot of them, their eyes, their demon eyes flash across all of them. It's pretty cool. I like the moment when they're bowing towards each other as a way to one up each other in terms of respect, or be coming off as respectful. Like as Saja Boys start to bow, like the fans are like saying, like, "Oh, that's so hot, that's so respectful." Immediately, like Huntress is looking at the fans like concerned, like, "Oh no," and Zoe spits out a ball from the pit, like, and she just very quickly, and they all start to quickly bow back and forth, and until the point where like Huntress is kind of stuck, and they're like, "Oh, my back." I like that. Then to the in the bathroom. That quickly moves to the bathhouse scene where Huntrix goes after the Saja Boys. I like this little detail about the weapons of their weapons. I love how the Hanmu weapons have different engravings and designs on them. Rumi, it looks like, there's star pattern dots connected. Like there's star patterns across the blade, and there's dots like they're connected by lines. Zoe's knives, it looks like they have floral / leaf patterns on them. And then with Mira, it's like a rolling mountain landscape across her blade. I like the designs of it. Again, in the bathhouse, they face against the water demons, like a group of water demons. And again, it looks like Jared Leto, clean shaven, who just gotten out of the shower. And as Huntrix is about to fight the demons, like Saja Boys are running away, and Jinu's like, "Have fun," but he slips on a puddle mid-sentence as he's running, and he runs away. I think it's pretty funny. And then it cuts to him running away in a hallway with his arms up and his shoulders tight, and he's just giggling. He's like, "Hee." I love how they did all these characters. They have humorous moments, but again, they can still be pretty serious. I like in the when Jinu is fighting against Rumi, like in their one-on-one fights, Jinu is using his demon claws to fight against Rumi. When he finds out that she has patterns, there's a rip on her on one of her arms, on her like sleeves, that reveals some of the demon patterns on her arms. And before Mira and Zoe can actually see it, Jinu grabs her, wraps her around, spins her around, and eventually ties a cloth around her arm. Um, I like the detail of when Rumi is looking up at Jinu through her perspective. You could see Jinu's necklace lifted up and floating to the side from the momentum of his spinning. I like when animators just focus on these type of details. It's good. Also, I don't know if this is too important, but the demons, they tend to come out of reflective surfaces when they want to suck out souls, because there's an old man who in the bathhouse where later there's a demon that comes out to suck his soul out from his back. It can be from a pail of water, a sink of water, and later there's a glass door to a refrigerated part of a store where demons come out of. I don't know if that's like too important or even that's consistent throughout, but it seems like demons come out of reflections. I like that. Or at least reflective surfaces. When Jinu, there are a couple moments where Jinu falls back to Guima's dimension. Whenever that happens, there's like some really good dolly zooms and shallow focus on him, like going in towards his face as he falls backwards into it. I like how they do that. In the demon realm, there's a shot of the Saja boys in the middle of a crowd of demons. Demons are cheering them on. They have like, Saja boys merch, and they're like, they're just like us, and they're cheering them on. In the human form, the Saja boys are confident and they're playing the part of the boy band, but they change their demon form. And once they change to their demon form, they resort to like the empathetic / disinterested / dead men walking / standing. They have hunchbacks, their droopy faces. I like the contrast between their human counterparts and their demon forms. After that, there's that scene where Huntrix is overlooking the Han Moon, and they're looking at the surface, and they're seeing tearing across the horizon, like the parts of the Han Moon is breaking apart. They're all nervous about that. When Bobby shows up, they frantically put on makeup they put on makeup like frantically and quickly to cover up all their scars. When they turn around and they say hi, Bobby, collectively, their faces look like they've been applied with too much makeup. Good detail. I like it. Because look at compare what they looked like before they put on the makeup as compared to after. It actually looks like they've been caked on with makeup. I like it. So Bobby's afraid of the popularity of Saja boys, and he's trying to calm down. He's looking out the window, and he's like, it's okay. It's just in some numbers. It's not the end of the world. As soon as he says it's not at the end of the world, it shows his perspective looking out of the city horizon, and it's just pretty clear. He doesn't see the Han Moon energy like the hunters do. But it immediately cuts to the camera outside the glass looking at Huntrix and Bobby. So they're looking inside at the four characters. The girls' reactions are serious, looking at the tearing parts of the Han Moon. The rumbling of the Han Moon is breaking in the background, and there are pink reflections of the Han Moon, like on the reflection of the surface, like on the glass. But what's really cool is, if you look at it, the pink reflections of the Han Moon are over Rumi, Zoe, and Mira only. Bobby doesn't have any pink streak. There's no pink reflection or streaks over him, like on the glass. I think it's pretty cool. And then on top of that, the pink reflections of the Han Moon are in the eyes of the girls and not Bobby. I absolutely love that single frame because it's just so good. I need to take a quick little water break. Okay, let's try picking up some of this pace a little bit because there's still a little bit to go. Rumi comes up with a plan to create a diss track single against the Saja boys. After they're pumping each other up, Zoe and Mira are making funny faces, and they're screaming to hype each other up. They're like, yeah, yeah. It's great and refreshing to see an animated movie not afraid to give their lead female characters silly faces. And I mean really silly and bizarre faces. And it's not just Zoe and Mira doing it. Rumi gets in it as well. And as they pump each other up and they're about to go and, get started on it, Mira picks up an ottoman and is carrying it with her after being pumped up. It's really funny. So after that, we get the in Rumi's room. Like Rumi goes into her room alone, and this is when she's introduced to Derpy and Sussy. Like Sussy's introduction is the bird with a hat and three eyes. The bird is perched on one of the ledges of the porch, and I love I love Rumi's confused face as she's approaching her patio door, as she's saying, "Is that a bird wearing a hat?" I don't know, like the way that she like curves her body, or at least just walking towards it. And she's like, "Huh?" I like it. Um, and then we have Derpy's introduction. Derpy, the big blue or purple tiger, emerges from behind these couple of potted plants. But there's a sequence over and over where Derpy keeps knocking down this potted plant and is trying to pick it up, or like trying to bring it back up with its claws, but it keeps falling over and over and over again. And even like Rumi's looking back at Sussy, who is behind her on still on the railing of the patio. Sussy does like a sigh. Um, it's pretty cool. And then Derpy and Sussy, they lead Rumi to Genu, since Genu wants to meet with her alone. They lead to a section in the town or in the city. Um, this is actually pretty cool that I caught on a few times in watching this movie. Um, Before Derpy disappears into a wall towards the meeting place, he walks past a mannequin display row, like for a shop. There's a shop for costumes, and then there's a bunch of mannequins laid out on the outside. When you look at the lineup of those mannequins, there is a space on that row that is empty. That is the space that is empty. The mannequin that was used for that space is the mannequin that Genu uses on top of the roof, where Rumi thinks is Genu and tries to behead. Um, so yeah, I love how they wrote all the characters in this movie, especially Genu. He I mean, not only is he hold on. I need a drink of water. I'm a little bit of a brain fart. He is the main, he's seen as an antagonistic force and even like a villain because he's leading the Saja boys. He also isn't portrayed he's a conflicted kind of person. He isn't portrayed as this cynical and stoic villain. He makes weird noises and faces, and he reacts realistically to certain things happening. Case in point, when Rumi chops off that mannequin head thinking it was Genu, and Genu makes an icebreaker joke about the mannequin, but then she pulls out her blade and starts chasing after him. He backs up and it diffuses the situation. He's like, "Oh, whoa, hold on." He reacts realistically. He isn't just like the stoic, like villain that like won't be phased by a blade facing towards him because he doesn't fear death. No, he still can be hurt. He can still be killed by her, and he reacts realistically. I like it. Genu is really great. I like his character. But then he makes a comment where he's like, "I just want to talk about your patterns, but first I want to talk about those pants." And he points to the her pajama pants that she has on. It has like teddy bears and trains on them, and he makes a choo choo sound to it. It's pretty funny. I like Genu's flashback. I should say quote unquote flashback because he's keeping some key points out of it. But I like looking back at his flashback, like the first time when he heard Guima. His family was poor and barely living off scraps on the streets. When he's looking down, he's sitting down on the streets and looking at a puddle at his reflection, and then in the reflection you see Guima's flames are visible when Gino's looking down, and then of course it shows some flashbacks of like when his life has changed and he made the deal with Guima, and uh, it shows Genu and his mother and his sister living in the royal palace. And then the Genu's patterns forming in the mirror. But then it cuts to, the shot of the mother and the sister outside of the closing gates when he said that the patterns took over him and he was sent to the demon world forever. And then after that, it shows the shot of the mother and sister outside of the closing gates, where like the mother's holding back the sister. They're both crying. Sister's reaching out her arms and calling out to Genu. I like it that I like how they purposely mixed some things up in that particular scene to mislead our interpretation and perceptive about it, because the real truth is Genu actually, sold his family out for his own gain. He made a deal with Grima just for himself, and he had to leave his mother and his sister out there in order to live a lavish life in the palace. But uh, again, it brings to the point that Genu, even though you can kind of relate, or at least just kind of see him as a sympathetic character, he's still not that great of a person. He made some really bad decisions in which that guilt and that shame is tearing at him. He's dealing with that shame, which again plays into the theme of shame for the whole movie. And I love that the demon patterns are reminders of one's shame. It's a visual metaphor for, our own personal struggles and guilt. Things that, we want hidden from others. Imagine that, patterns across your own face that you can't hide. It's really good how they did that. When Genu, there's a point where Genu steps close to Rumi. He places his patterned hand close to her collarbone, and her patterns start to light up, and they start to light up on her skin. What's really cool is that her patterns are also visible through Rumi's sweater. So you see the light shining from her patterns through her sweater. So even then, it's like she can't really hide her patterns as much. Pretty cool. And then I love the close-up shot of Genu's face at that moment, broken up by Rumi's rising sword. Like the sword is rising up from the bottom of the frame and he slowly steps back. I love that. And then the next shot is when the Huntrix is, they're working on their song. Rumi's throwing her PJ pants in the trash, and then she has a grumpy face while playing her guitar, and then Mira and Zoe are, messing with the lyrics. it's silly. I guess you guys can just probably assume that anything that can make you laugh is what I like, and anything. Anyway, so Huntrix is trying to come up with a new song. They're struggling to come up with the right lyrics. There's a moment where Mira throws darts at some Saja Boys posters on the wall. On the Saja Boys posters, there's like words and demon horns across their faces. I actually had to pause on the notes and everything that they wrote on the wall, because it's a wall of notes to help them write this song. But there's a lot of fun things about it that I think is just really cool, that if you just pause and read them, it's hilarious. But this is what I was able to take out of it. There's a note that says masks. There's a note that says patterns. There's a note that says demons. There's one that says liars in capital letters. There's a note that says "You're not so hot" in bold letters. But then there's another sub little note underneath the sticky note that says "doesn't work," and another one underneath it that says "they are hot." Another note that just simply says "we hate" with the exclamation mark. There's another note, a separate one that says "do not get distracted by their handsome faces and bodies." another little note that says "don't mention their good looks." Another one that says "no friends, literally evil, they kill people." And then I think my favorite one, there's just one that a very smaller one that says "tax evasions." Come on, guys, this is pretty funny. So after that, when they come up with the name Takedown, there's the Takedown montage where they're fighting against demons and they're coming up with the rhythm, the lyrics for the song. There's a moment where there are three elderly ladies. There's the same three elderly ladies from the soda pop scene. They're power walking together, and then some demons are attacking, and they're about to attack. And then Mira and Zoe, like, they fight off these demons. When the demons are done and like there's a portal like closing, Mira and Zoe are stabbing the demon portal with their weapons so many times against the concrete in a silly fashion. It's pretty funny. When Mira comes up with a line in the song that says "a demon with no feelings doesn't deserve to live," and then Zoe responds like "it's so obvious," and that's in the song. It's like a demon with no feelings don't deserve to live. It's so obvious. Guys, I'm not that great of a singer, so I apologize, but that's just how it is. Once they come up with those words, immediately cuts to Rumi's silent reaction to it, as if she's realizing, oh, a demon with no feelings, I don't deserve to live. Love it. Love it. Love it with the internal struggles and everything. Also, I love how the purple slash pink quick shimmer over the Hanmoon acts as a back signal. Whenever demons are trying to break through the Hanmoon, there's a pulse, and like they all see it, they all feel it. It basically acts as like a bat signal for them. Like, oh, okay, time to go. The table signing scene. Okay, I love the table signing scene. It's really funny. Um, Honestly, I feel like I can go for every single detail about it, but I'm just going to quickly go through the bullet points of what I have down here. The huge line that's leaning outside, and when you look at the outside view, like outside shot of the building, there are 5 people in sleeping bags at the beginning of the line. They're actually the Saja boys because they walk in, and then when they're the Saja boys, the the sleeping bags fall down and they do their pose and they have the little ooh little note. It's pretty cool. Huntrix breaking their markers with frustrated grunts when they are revealed. The 2 tables are joined together because originally they were going to be separated, but Rumi needs all of them together. So Saja Boys has to sit in between the Huntrix ladies. Mystery sits next to Zoe, and Zoe has a huge crush on Mystery, and so baby Saja sits next to her, I think on her left, and then Mystery sits next to her on her right. She's talking all serious to baby Saja, and is like, I'm not sitting next to these guys. And then when she looks over to Mystery, she gets all giggly and giddy when she sees him. She's like, what's up? There's a part where Abby is drawing his abs on a paper by pressing the paper against his stomach and scribbling a pencil over it and giving it to the fans. There, Mira's like, signing some papers, like, frustratingly looking over some demons. She's like, I'm gonna smash her demon face in, and, and then she immediately switches to a thanks for coming type of character, like, voice. It's pretty funny. There's a part where Mystery is barking at a fan, and Zoe smacks him in the head with a marker, and she said, "No, bad Saja boy." There's a moment where Abby and Mira and Romance, they're fighting over signing a fan's leg cast, and they're going back and forth. It's like, no, I'll sign it. And it's a quick shot of showing the fan fighting for his life, staying balanced on his crutches while he has his leg onto the table. And then there's a heartfelt moment where after Genu and Rumi are bickering towards each other, there's a little girl that gives Genu a drawing of him, and like he looks at this drawing, and then Rumi looks over and says, like, maybe you should listen to those voices instead of the ones in your head. And then the Saja boys, Genu and the Saja boys, they leave the signing. They all have flowers that were given to them. As they took their flowers and out of sight of everyone, and once they exit through the curtains, once they exit through some curtains, there's a trash can right next to them. All of them drop their flowers in the trash can. All of them slouch their shoulders and jaws, and they hunch their backs when they drop their flowers. Like they drop the facade, and they just look like they're like tired or defeated, and just again like the demons and everything. But Genu is the only one to gently place his on top of the others while looking at the drawing that the little girl gave to him. He's the last one to place in, and I like that little touch that maybe there's a little bit of sense of his humanity coming back to him. And on the drawing, there's a nice little drawing, but on it it says, "Genu, you have a beautiful soul." Really touching moment. Then cuts to the scene of Rumi practicing the lyrics to Takedown. She's alone in her room. Derpy and Sussy are in the room as well. They're sleeping. When Mira comes to knock on the door, Rumi is rushing to get Derpy and Sussy out of there and hide her notes to the lyrics. So she tosses her notes and the lyrics and like the paper into a trash can bin. As Derpy is starting to slowly lower himself through his portal, and like Sussy is on top of his head, he stops. He stops, and we just see Sussy's head as they both stop, and you could tell because in the same frame towards like the left is the tipped over trash bin, like the little trash can bin, and so, as Derpy stops, Sussy's looking down with his eyes and like kind of like getting like a disappointed look or like an angry look. It's like as if Sussy's saying, "Don't you dare!" And then Derpy raises his head up and turns to the side and sees the trash bin, and then there's a quick zoom close to his face when he sees the trash bin. I love the little thing because this little like excited noise, and because of the scene earlier when he was messing with the flower pot bin, or like the flower pot before. Now that Mira's entered the room, it's kind of brings a little edge of like, oh gosh, is she going to see his paw reaching out trying to mess with the trash can bin? And there's a moment where he's trying to mess with the trash can bin, and Rumi's trying to cover it. It's pretty cool. So Mira and Mira talks with Rumi about, different behaviors and actions of lately. Derpy trying to straighten out the trash bin from behind Rumi's bed, and so she covers Derpy's head with a blanket, and she holds back his tail and a note from Genu. So she has those in her hands, and she hides it behind her back. And there's a point where Mira is like going off and kind of monologuing and just sharing her feelings. And she says, I have this strange feeling that you're trying to hide something from me. And Rumi lies to Mira by saying, I'm not hiding anything from you. And there's an immediate shot from behind her back where she's holding Derpy's tail and the note from Genu, immediately hiding two secrets right in front of Mira's face. There's a point where Mira says she'll be glad when Guima is defeated and all the demons will suffer for all of eternity. And it goes to Rumi's conflicted feelings. Like, it shows her, battling with those about, she's battling over herself and Genu's fate. I love it. It's pretty good. There's and immediately after that, it goes into like a little bit of a recap, like from a news TV station, or like a news station that's showing that there are a lot of people, a lot of missing cases. There are a lot of cases of missing people across the city. A lot of people are disappearing because demons are starting to come out and suck out the souls of a lot of the fans. And so there's a quick little tracking shot over a TV screen showing a news channel talking about more, missing person cases. There's a nice little detail that on the screen, on the TV screen of like the news channel, there is an ASL interpreter in the bottom left corner of the news channel. A blink and you'll miss it type of thing. And I think that's pretty cool, because there are some news channels that have the sign language interpreters in the corner for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. I think that's pretty cool. So then afterwards, it cuts. Rumi sends a note, like an invitation for Genu to meet up, to tell him about the plan regarding about like letting Huntrix win the Idol Awards. And as Genu is meeting, he's waiting for Rumi to show up. He gets jump scared by Rumi. He's silently crouching up behind him. He makes a funny face in reaction. It makes me chuckle every time, because he's like, you just really tried to win all this weight just to jump scare me? It's pretty funny. And then there's the moment where after Rumi shares the plan with Genu, the old lady with the bracelets moment, she tries to offer like a bracelet, mistaking them as dating, and they make and Genu's like, she's not even my type, and then Rumi makes a fun reaction. She's like, what? I'm everyone's type. I love the little banters between them. They have really good chemistry with each other. But I like this heartfelt moment after the humor, where it kind of slows down and quiets down a little bit, and Genu makes a response to Rumi saying, I don't think you're a mistake, because Rumi thinks that she is a mistake because of her patterns. She believes her shame is a reminder that she was not meant to be born this way. And I like how after he says, like, I don't think you're a mistake, like, Rumi doesn't know how to respond. And so she just responds with a, okay, bye, and quickly walks away. And then Genu does an awkward, like, okay, bye, okay, just walks away. Pretty funny. So after that, I like the moment when they're practicing the song for Takedown, and Rumi is distancing from the lyrics of the Takedown. From the lyrics of Takedown and the song itself altogether. There's a moment where Zoe's trying to substitute different versions of a verse, and Rumi's just dismissing the whole thing. And then Zoe has a rage moment with her lyric book in the background while Mira's talking to Rumi. It's pretty funny just seeing Rumi Zoe trying to like rip out the book and making some weird noises and just chucking it out there. It's pretty funny. And then we have the high speed train fight scene. I like that scene. The action's pretty good. There is a group of demons that they fight against. It's faceless demons. They're pouring through this big portal opening on the train. I like the creepy designs for these ones. Now, granted, they are creepy, so like, yeah, they're not my favorite, but I like the intentionality and the impact that these demons can have. Um, they are creepy. They remind me of Gollum from Lord of the Rings and some of the crawlers from the Black Ops Zombies, like the video game Call of Duty Black Ops the Zombies mode. If for those of you who have played the Black Ops Zombies, you know about the crawlers. Imagine that's the crawlers mixed with Gollum, except there's no eyes, no mouth. It makes no face, basically no face on them. It makes it extra creepy. There's no clothing on them. Um, they don't share a whole lot of human qualities or distinctions, making them more demonic and less sympathetic. So, well done. You made some really creepy designs. Um, there's a little screenshot moment of the three of them jumping off the front of the train to fight the horde of demons. That looks like a great poster and everything. I love how the movie actually took the risk to actually kill the passengers on the train. Because Rumi, there's a part when she's singing the song and she's thinking about the lyrics and thinking about towards herself. It throws her off, and the demons knock them off of their balance and everything. And once they're able to defeat the demons on top of the train, they realize like the passengers, where are they? They look down and the passengers are gone. Like the passengers were killed. Like their souls were sucked out. More people added to the missing persons cases. I like that. It highlight having that moment where they actually took the risk to do that. It highlights how big the stakes are, that they are losing fans quicker than they realized, and that their goal for achieving the Han Moon is almost near impossible. After that, Rumi goes to meet with Jinu one last time, and this is and Jinu is waiting over by the first place where they met. He has more flashbacks about losing his mother and sister. At this moment, when he's like while he's waiting for Rumi, like he has more of those flashbacks. It shows the same shot of both his mother and the sister outside the gates. But after it shows that same shot of them, outside the gates as the gates are closing, it now includes a shot of Jinu walking back into the palace with a like a shocked face, as if it was coming from their perspective. And then from that point, it begins to change the narrative about Jinu's past and what he's dealing with. I love how movies do this. The writers did a really fantastic job of building this kind of like mystery, and then the final reveal, when you finally find out what the truth actually is, you look back and you kind of see how his shame and how his character is trying to hide the truth of what it is. He's trying to hide the truth from himself and from others. It's really good. I like how they did it. When Rumi meets up with Jinu, Derpy and Sussy are there, and so Rumi asks about Sussy wearing a hat, and Jinu responds by saying, "I made it for the tiger, but the bird keeps stealing it." And then it shows the shot of Sussy having a little smug grin. It's funny. I like it. Cute little like character details and just making Sussy and Derpy more dynamic with each other. I also like to point this out. I like how the designs of Derpy and Sussy, they both kind of share a resemblance towards Mira and Zoe. Derpy resembles a lot of Zoe, and Sussy resembles a lot of Mira. Yeah. I love the sequence of the song "Free." When Jinu starts singing, like I like the moment. So like first, Rumi starts singing for a while, and it gets into the rhythm and gets into the harmonies of it, or like the bridge of it. And then when it's Jinu's turn to start singing, we see his reflection in his window as he's walking past. His demon form with the yellow eyes is in the window reflection, whereas when Rumi's looking at him, it's his human form. I also love the blue surface of the Han Moon is visible wherever Rumi is stepping on. it shows like, like the surface of the Han moon. Like again, you can see like the pulse or like the layers of it when they're walking. Their vulnerability is extending past the physical world and into the spiritual as well. This song is great because it's extending from the physical into the spiritual. Um, the song is just beautiful as well, especially when they're levitating and like and they're levitating together, and there's like some soft, vibrant neon colors around that. It's not too harsh, but it's just very warming. It's a great change of pace as compared to all the fast paced songs. It's really good. After that, when Genu decides and agrees to let Huntrix win, he gets brought down to Grima's realm again. And this time, Grima's size has grown tremendously. His form of the form of his fire is pretty massive, almost being too much for the altar that he's sitting on top of. Something I like about the flame is that these flames don't act are not curved in the same way that standard fire, like in a fireplace or in a fire pit, would look like. The fire almost looks like a jagged crown spread out like and diagonally and above him. um but when his size is really big, when he reaches his like really big size, um the the bottom parts of the flame looks like teeth. Like his teeth are visible like shark teeth when he laughs like maliciously, and when he's talking, you can start to see like the flame starting to form like teeth. I like that design. I think it's really cool. It makes it really intimidating. Um, and then Genu's past is fully revealed, where Grima, Genu made a deal with Grima to get himself out of poverty and misery. He left his mother and sister behind to die while he lived in comfort in the palace. Grima, threatens to increase the voices in his head, reminding him of this moment. And it shows why Genu wanted to have the voices and shame gone. His shame is too great. And then at that point, Genu has a difficult dilemma to face: help Rumi or stay faithful to Grima. At that moment, I like how Genu is surrounded by Grima's flames. Like he literally is surrounded as if he's engulfed in Grima. And then Genu's eyes are filled with like those fearful tears and everything. It's a really impactful moment, like just really just heartbreaking and just shocking. And I love it. After that, Rumi's heading back to her apartment on top of Derpy. I love how Derpy leaps and bounds in the air. He doesn't fly, but he's like jumping and bouncing as if he's actually bouncing and running on top of the surface. But he's bouncing on the surface of the Han moon, and every step he takes creates a ripple effect in the air as if he's stepping on water. I think that's so cool. So after that, I like the Idol Awards intro video. It's weird. It's funky. It's so wacky and random, but it fits. That's all I can say. It ends with like a space shot where the moon's on the left side, and then there's the Earth is on the left side, and then there's the moon. A moon is approaching the Earth with a man's face on it, and then two Idol Award signs for both Huntrix and Saja Boys behind it, and then it rushes towards the Earth like a comet. It's just so weird. I'm like, how to explain how like brilliant and funny and just random this scene is, but it's an intro to the Idol Awards. In the backstage of the Idol Awards, Huntrix and Saja Boys, they walk past each other. Mira and Zoe, like the giving angry looks subtly to the Saja Boys and vice versa. I like how only Rumi and Genu only are looking forward. And then on top of that, I like how the Saja Boys have patterns on their stage clothes. Again, hiding their demon identities in plain sight. It's pretty cool. The cuts to Huntrix is I like when Huntrix is in their waiting room. Mira has a punching bag. She's punching a punching bag with a photo of Abby's abs on it, and she's saying, "I hate abs." I like that little scene. I love the live performance of Golden when it's their turn to perform the song. I love how I love a whole bunch of things in there. Let me just quickly run through some of these things. The lights are dim on the stage. There's a small backlight shining behind the three girls as the first bass, like the first note, drops on the song. I like the buildup of the song, like the fans' reactions as they're like as they're waiting in anticipation, as like they know it's gonna happen here soon. When the first bass drops on the song, Rumi and Zoe and Mira are in a single line and they have their arms out in different angles. And then once the light turns on, they then spread out into their own spaces and they start singing. Uh, Here's another great detail that I love about this. Fans are singing along. Fans are singing along to the song like word for word, but not every fan is that is singing. Um, yeah, like not every fan is singing, but a good majority does. There are actually some that are just watching, but there are some who are like mouthing the words, and even some of them don't even know all the words. It's something realistic. It seems very realistic, and it's a great little mixture of all the different types of fans that you would find in a big giant concert like this. The fans are presented as actual people instead of just background characters that just cheer. I like how they did it. They made the fans an actual character itself. It's pretty cool. I like the main chorus and hits really well. And then we have like Bobby's capture. As everything's going well, Rumi's having her solo. She's she's nailing it and everything. And then Bobby's capture. Mira and Zoe see him taking it away, and they're running after him to try to save Bobby. Here's another nice little detail I like. At that moment when Mira and Zoe, they see Bobby being captured and taken away and they start to run away, some of the staff are saying like, you're on in like 20 seconds or 30 seconds. Some of the staff and the stage hands helping Mira and Zoe are actually wearing face masks. I don't think that's like too important to point out. I don't think that the filmmakers are trying to put an emphasis on it. I just like to show like, some, stage hands would still be wearing face masks. I like that. So after that, yeah, so like when Rumi is, seeing glimmers of the golden, ripples across the Han Moon, she thinks the golden Han Moon's about to be completed. She's singing along to the song, and then everything cuts off, and then Takedown plays over the speakers, and then Mira and Zoe, I should say the demons posing as Mira and Zoe, they show up behind Rumi as the song begins, or at least the first lyric begins. They have red lights emphasized over them. Rumi has a bright light over her. And I think that stays true during this whole sequence. And I think that's pretty cool. It separates them. I love how you can hear the demon voices barely mixed with Mira and Zoe's while they're singing. There's a little bit of like low distortion when they sing "Baby Nice Try." Like it's kind of like a baby nice try. Just very, very subtle if you're actually paying attention to it. It shows the demons can copy a voice but can't impersonate it perfectly. And then the demon Mira and Zoe are bumping into Rumi and throwing her off course while singing. I love the fan interactions to this. There are some fans that are saying, "Are they fighting? What's going on?" Simple lines like this give agency to the fans. I cannot express how much I love how the writers and filmmakers made the fans not annoying, but they made them as passionate about who they love. It could have been easy. They think for themselves and they behave normally like most fans would. Some can be obnoxious or too passionate. Some are casual. Some are diehards. Some can like more than one band at a time. Case in point, the table signing scene where half of the fans immediately moved over to another table that was supposedly going to be with the Saja Boys. All these fans are very unique. They gave credibility and they allowed these fans to be realistic. It's so good. I love it when they do that. Goodness. I also love how the song Takedown was built up as a diss track to expose and take down the Saja Boys, but instead at this point it's being used it's being used against Rumi to expose her and take her down. There's no twisting of the words or placements of the words. They didn't reshuffle the words itself. They're singing it as they wrote it, but now the focus is on Rumi and it hits differently. I love when they do that. It's so good. Um, as a um, there, I love Rumi's panicked and scared look as her patterns are revealed in the light. At this point, with the when the light is shining on her, there's no more warmth in the light. There's no more golden like hues or even just rays of light on her. It's just stark white light on her, and it's almost as if like a those like helicopter overlights that are shining down on a person as they're escaping. Like she's exposed, she can't escape it. Um, Also love at that point when, Mira and Zoe, the demon Mira and the demon Zoe, they rip off her jacket to reveal her patterns. Rumi's hair becomes more sporadic and crazy and no longer neat as she's starting to lose control. And then it builds up to where Rumi screams out saying no to like, uh, the demon Zoe and Mira, like, mocking her and ridiculing her. The shots of the overhead lights on the stage breaking one by one are just so, mwah, I just love it. And then I love the single light shining down on Rumi as it's flickering, like it flickers on and off. As it's flickering on and off, like her patterns are lighting up in the dark. The patterns are covered all around her, even as it come across her face. Whereas before it didn't, but now it's over her face and it's starting to light up. And it's such a cool contrast when you look at the darkened stadium. You see some of the fans with the lights on their phones in the background, and then you look at the center of the stage and you see the light that's shining down on Rumi, and then her patterns are lighting up. Such a great mixture of color and light all together. It's so good, guys. Can you tell I love this movie a lot? If you haven't figured it out that I love this movie at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, so Mira and Zoe, they make it to the edge of the stage where they see Rumi hunched over with her patterns exposed. I love the shot of where Rumi's kind of like twitching a little bit at the sound of like the crowd. The crowd is kind of like, screaming out like they're scared. They're confused. They don't know what it is. And Rumi's just reacting as if like an animal that's like caught in a corner. Rumi's hair is messy. Her arms and fingers are curled in a way that looks like claws, and her twitchy, like I love her the way like yeah, she twitches. Her movements are very twitchy towards the sounds. So good. I love Mira and Zoe's reaction when they see Rumi with her patterns for the very first time. There's no audible gasp. No, everything's all silent. It's if like they just something inside of them just died. Zoe had a hand up against the corner of a wall or a structure, but she lets her hand slip down and she slowly takes a step back. And at the same moment, you can see Mira's breathing get more rapid with her chest rising up and down. Their fear is perfectly captured, and that single shot of them both shocked by Rumi's secret is one of the best in the movie. It's so hard hitting. It's so good. And I'm glad that this movie actually went and actually took that risk. Oh, it's so good. I'm getting trailed off here. I need to get back on focus. Anyway, so when Rumi runs back to Mira and Zoe, she sees them. She tries to plead with them. They both are taking step back as they approach her. I love that. It's also great how they set up how her pleading makes her look insane and untrustworthy. And there's a point where she's starting to lose control of at least like lose, respect and trust in them. And Rumi's voice starts to rise up and she says, I can still fix this. And at that point, there's another pink pulse like that, that cuts across the entire Hanmoon. The sound and the music bring in distortion and rumbling as she yells. That is just perfection. It's so good. And then Mira and Zoe are reluctantly drawing their weapons on Rumi. Mira is the first to do it. They're all quiet while they do it. But Zoe, eventually she does draw her weapons. Now, she usually has 3 or more knives in each hand when she's fighting the demons, but with Rumi, she only has 1 in each. And she's keeping her hands out. She doesn't want to do it. They visually captured their reluctancy to actually fight against their friend that they have grown with over the years. It's so good. Plus, at this moment, there's a little music motif playing in the latter half of this sequence. It's a beautiful and heartbreaking version of Golden that's, just with this cello or like the bass strings and everything. It's slowed down. It's heartbreaking as it shows that everything's starting to fall apart. Then Rumi runs to find Jinu. I love the music that plays as she's frantically running through the backstage looking for Jinu, as if, yeah, everything's all chaotic and she can't get in control. I love that. Rumi confronts Jinu about betraying her. I love that as Jinu is standing there and waiting for her, he has his demon patterns on his face and yellow irises in his eyes. He's approaching her as he sees himself as. Like, just no more than a good old demon. And then Rumi shoves his shoulder she shoves at his shoulders, saying, "How could you do this?" Tries to push him back. I have to praise this short little moment in detail. Rumi shoves at his shoulders, but Jinu barely budges. If anything, Rumi is pushed back more. It's nothing too grand or profound, but I have to applaud the filmmakers for showing how realistically it would be for a woman smaller than the man trying to shove his shoulders would look like. Like, too often lately have movies and shows had female characters, often with a shorter physique, overpower muscular and large men. It's possible to defeat and fight against these kind of men, especially if you know how to target their weaknesses first. And in a lot of cases, recently, the female character defeats the large male characters with ease or without even breaking a sweat. Rumi shoving Jinu's shoulders and barely even making him move doesn't undermine her anger and emotions. Everything she's feeling is real. It's just great to see a movie, validate realistic emotions with realistic outcomes to actions. I love it, guys. And I also love the moment where Jinu screams out, Rumi's trying to plead with him and try to appeal to his human side, saying he made a mistake. She doesn't know his full story, but she says, you made a mistake with your family. But then Jinu turns back to her and yells out, "I left them!" The sound is loud on purpose to surprise and highlight his anger. And I wish I could see this movie in theaters, because I can imagine the speakers are just booming at that moment. His eyes widen with yellow irises. His patterns glow when he is angry. I love when they do that. Jinu's past and then is finally revealed. He says it out. He explains it. The whole it shows the whole sequence of him walking to the palace, but then his mother and sister have to be left behind, and he leaves them behind. I love the front-facing shots of Rumi and Jinu, because it has forward-facing shots coming back between Jinu and Rumi. The demon patterns are more prominent on the right side of Jinu's face, and the patterns are more prominent on the left side of Rumi's face. The left eye, like her left eye, is like a demon eye. It's kind of like the yin and yang, where Jinu's more on the right, Rumi's is more on the left. I think that's pretty cool. I like when Rumi is walking away defeated. There's an overhead shot of her walking, and with every step she takes, it's tearing open the Hanmoon surface as she walks. It's such a beautiful, beautiful little thing. It's a beautiful shot of a terrible thing happening. And outside, I love the sequence of Guima manipulating Bobby, Mira, and Zoe through their own mind. He uses their voice to speak to them using their insecurities. With Bobby, he tells him, "You couldn't keep them together. You're all alone." For Mira, he tells her, "You thought you found a family? You don't deserve one. You never have." And for Zoe, he says, "You're too much and not enough. You don't belong anywhere." When you listen, you can hear these characters' voices speaking back to them with a little distortion. That is very, very similar and very realistic to how I truly believe like Satan and his demons in this world can speak to us and to speak to you using your own voice to speak to tap into your insecurities. It's something realistic that I don't think I've seen any other movie done before, and I thought it was really good. So the Saja Boys invite everyone to their last performance at the Namsen Tower. There's a large board screen out in public. They appear, after the news regarding the Out Awards. There's a moment I like where the screen glitches for just a little bit, and then for a brief second, you can see the Saja Boys' true demon forms with their last performing outfits appearing for a split second. with the yellow eyes and smile. It's pretty creepy, but if you just focus, you can find it. It's pretty cool how they hit that in there. So then there's the sequence with Celine at this tree, um, and Rumi confronts Celine and asks her to take her, eventually to take her life. Um, Celine's, she pulls out a weapon when she senses that someone's around. She pulls out a sickle for a weapon. For those who don't know, look at the communist flag of the sickle and the hammer. The sickle is used, to it's used to cut loads of wheat like tall grass in bunches. Um, something about her weapon of the sickle. She never pulls it from the Hanmoon. It's like she carries it. Doesn't glow with its energy. I think it's just an actual sickle that she uses as a choice of weapon for herself. Is there a specific visual metaphor regarding her character as a hunter using the sickle? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't really give much thought to it. I'm not going to right now. When Rumi falls to her knees, she holds out her sword, asking Celine to end her life. At that moment, we hear young Rumi's voice singing faintly in the background the song of the hunters. And then followed by, her saying, "Do it." And then there's another pulse across. I love it. It's pretty cool. This whole scene is powerful. Not a single joke mentioned in spread inside this entire scene. It's so good and refreshing. Celine says that she can't take Rumi's life. She made a promise to Rumi's mother to protect all that's left of her. She says the line, though, "But I never thought that would be a child like you." There's a moment where Celine is reaching her hand to the side of Rumi's face, but she never actually touches her face like a genuine moment. Like, she doesn't genuinely touch her face, as like a good mentor would, as like a mother figure would. Again, I love how they did Celine's character. You would think that she would be the good mentor that has all the answers and everything, but no, she is very divided and she has some questionable motives. And it's almost like, can she actually be trusted? It's pretty cool. Also, the fact that Celine tries to cover up, she tries to convince Rumi to cover up her patterns and play it off to Mira and Zoe that it was a trick from Grima. She takes her coat off of herself and places it over Rumi's shoulders, either forgetting or choosing to ignore the patterns on Rumi's face. Her vision is twisted. Her mode is like clouded by, the fear of everything happening around. Celine is wrong in her actions and teachings towards Rumi. And I love that. It's a good change of pace. Rumi confronts Celine's bad philosophies. Celine says she tries her best to accept Rumi, in which Rumi responds like, "Accept me? You told me to cover up, to hide." And so she rips off the jacket and says, "No more hiding." At that point, Celine, she cannot look Rumi in the eyes. She like stares aside as if like pleading, like, "Rumi, don't do this." And then Rumi says like these lines that are very, just break your heart. She says, "This is who I am. Like, look at me. Why won't you look at me? Why couldn't you love me?" Celine responds by saying, "I do love you." And Rumi says, "All of me." This is the most emotional part of the whole film. I love the delivery of that last line, mixed with the final pulse through the Hanmoon. Rumi's patterns led her to believe that she was a mistake, that she is a mistake, and no one would accept her or try to help her because of the hunter's mission to destroy all demons. She worked with Mira and Zoe because she had hope that all she wanted to hide would be gone forever, that there would be no need to face the fear of being alone. Celine even told her to hide the patterns from the other two until Glima is defeated. When everything falls apart, she seeks out to end her own life so that her patterns don't make her become too far gone and destroy everything she fought so hard to fix. Taking your, which I have to say, for any of you guys who may be struggling with this, like even with just shame and guilt where it may be overwhelming, taking your own life does not resolve the problem of our shames and guilt and hiding from others. It doesn't solve that. Everyone else will have to deal with you gone. And there remains the question of why you were gone too soon. But here's what I truly believe is important. Shame is the first step to redemption. All you need to do is to seek help and confront what lies have been spoken to you. You have to face the fact the shame is overwhelming. You need help. It's okay. There are people there to help. Anyway, So at the end, Rumi uses the demon teleportation fog that the Saja boys and all the demons have used before. I think that's pretty cool, especially with the vague threat of like, if this is the Han Moon that I'm meant to protect, I'm glad to see it destroyed. Really makes you it, it sets you up to believe that something else is going to happen when something else, and then the exact opposite does. I love how they did it. So at the Namsen Tower, the place where the final Saja Boys performance is going to be, we see the shots of like people walking in by the thousands. Many people look like they're being hypnotized or possessed and have no control of idea what they are. That's pretty scary to look at. And I love the shows that Guima and these demons are are not just a joke. They're not a pass away like character. No, they actually hold a threat. Now we cut to the song, like the sequence of the song, Your Idol. Oh, man. Wow. There's a lot to pull into this. There are red lights surrounding the whole area. There's like the Saja Boy lion and segmented in like the background and everything. The Saja Boys are slowly fly up above the stage with the low, you know, male chanting and everything like that. What I like how the Saja boys are dressed in clothes inspired by the Korean equivalent of the Grim Reaper. There's an actual term for that. I think it's I'm gonna probably butcher this, but it's the Jeoseong the Jeoseong. I'm not gonna even pronounce it. But anyway, their clothes are resembling the Korean Grim Reaper. And I think it's very fitting for them as they are planning to lead the people there to be fed by Guima. They are the Grim Reapers. Very, very deliberate, very fitting for them. The lyrics for this whole song has so many layers on top of each other. This is really cool. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, trying to, because I'm realizing I'm like closing the 3 hours here soon, but hey, I'll get through it. There are really good spiritual layers to these lyrics. The demon boy band is hypnotizing people with their voices and good looks and words to make people look up to them as idols, objects to worship. There is a danger when we place people, especially celebrities, on the stand of an idol and worship our lives around them. This song is intentionally written to say the quiet part out loud of giving your heart and soul to the people and idols of this world, the dangers that follow through with it. They don't hide the dark message and subliminal messaging and symbolism. They straight up tell the people what they want from you. That's not to say that the writers and songwriters for this movie had this exact intention. I believe they showed how easy it can be for large groups of fans to place celebrities, rock stars, politicians, athletes, famous people on pedestals. I always think to what God has instructed us to approach all the idols of this world. First and foremost, the first commandment, thou shalt not have any other gods before me. And then there's the second commandment, thou shalt not make idols. Time and time again, we have seen the strength and power of these so-called idols when placed against the might of the Creator. They don't stand a chance. So why do we constantly try to put up all these idols in the places that they do not need to be? Jesus even preaches about how we need to be careful about where we give our hearts to. In the book of Matthew, in the chapter 6 of verse 21, it says, "For where your treasures are, there your heart will be too." So it is also worth noting that the demonic know how to appear. The demonic forces know how to appear as something beautiful and trustworthy to ensnare you and bind your heart to the wicked. We have to be careful what we subject ourselves to, and again, who we are giving our hearts and time to. That's just the spiritual level of it. Let's talk about the emotional levels to it quickly. The lyrics also work from the perspective of an abuse victim in a toxic relationship. The Saja boys use words like, I can be your sanctuary, keeping you obsessed. I'm the only one who'll love your sin. These bitter words come off as sweet from someone sweet looking. But who has become numb to the bitterness and harm of words like these? Or who even craves these kind of words? It's a dangerous place to be in, mentally speaking. On top of the spiritual obsession side of the Saja Boys' imprint on the fans, they literally draw them closer to themselves with gesturing hands and sinister smiles. All the while, the fans are in a deep trance to know this. Like they're too deep in the trance to know the sinister truth behind it all. How many of the fans and the whole crowd showed up to the Saja Boys concert because Grima attacked them emotionally through their insecurities and promised a remedy through him? We saw that with Bobby and Mira and Zoe. A toxic and abusive person will look for the one who is emotionally unstable and or in emotional distress to be able to handle in order to handle on their own. They draw that person in with sweet sounding words of encouragement while sticking to their insecurities and using it against them to keep them trapped and obsessed. The lyrics, man, it's amazing how they write these songs. They outdid themselves with the songs. And I haven't even gotten to the best song yet. But all of that said, I cannot deny that the song itself is catchy and has a specific draw to it. I can easily dismiss the fantasy slash fiction side of it to not become obsessed in the way that I lean in on the lyrics too much. I can separate what's made up and what's something I need to be emotionally and spiritually on guard for. The choreography is less bouncy and vibrant like in Soda Pop, but now it's more hypnotic and sinister. They include lower angle shots looking upwards to the Saja Boys, and one by one they sing directly into it as if they are singing to us directly. The song includes a couple of shots where the camera keeps the Saja Boys' heads in the same position of the frame while they move around, feeding more into the hypnotic portion of the song. It's kind of scary and sad to see the shots of, Mira and Zoe watching the performance and not fighting. They've lost control and they have fallen into the trance. Also, another fact about this, particular scene. My wife and I agreed to not let our daughter watch the scene at her age right now. The spiritual implications that a 6-year-old could get, coupled with some creepy imagery with their eyes and clothing and dark red lighting, can be hard. I think can be hard for her to process and distinguish from reality. Basically, we feel it in our hearts to protect hers from this sequence until we believe she can emotionally handle it and watch it without being fazed by it. The Saja Boys are not, So anyway, that's there are only 2 scenes in this movie that we don't let our daughter watch. This is the big one. I love how the Saja Boys are not hiding their demon abilities anymore. They disappear with their red smoke and they teleport to other parts of the stages. They levitate in the air with no strings visible. They keep their demon forms instead of their human forms. Their hands, their fingers, the claws, everything. They keep it all. They're all full, showing themselves who they actually are, but people don't care. The red lighting is offensive and intense on the Saja Boys. I love how they have the whole stadium drown in the red lighting. There's a brief moment. I love there's a brief moment when Genu is singing the verse, "I'm the only one who'll love your sin." And it looks like he has a pose where he has his arm up, but it looks like he's wearing the bracelet that Rumi gave him. It may look different, maybe because of the lighting, and it's not this. And again, it's not the focus. But if it is the actual bracelet, then that shows the last bit of hope he carries on himself. And it adds another small layer to his big moment coming soon. So, and then in the song, Guima joins the song as flames on the stage. It comes off as a huge spectacle. His whole form and size is more massive than when we last saw him in his realm. They play off really well on that. There and then there's then as as Guima takes his final big form, there's the Saja Boys would sing the song like "Living in Your Mind Now." Too late because you're mine now. The Saja Boys are crouching near the edges of the stage and they're extending arms out to the fans and drawing them closer. Fans are walking towards the stage and, Guima's flames in unison. All are marching forward as if they have no control. It's a frightening scene for sure. And in this point, the music is swelling up to its final crescendo and the final beats, and like it's reaching its climax, and all the while it's preparing people for their doom. The Saja Boys are floating in their air for their final choruses. Like there's that single line that says, "No one's coming to save you." Like Man, if as if this song can have been more in your face, but it's, the way they done it is just, I I keep saying it's amazing. They did it. They did great, but it is true. That's all I can think of right now. Um, but as they reach the end of the song, before the first of the fans get consumed by Grima, Rumi's voice breaks out from afar. I always love how Rumi's single note harmonizes with the final notes of the Saja boys. And then, the camera cuts all the way towards the end, to the back of the stadium. Rumi's silhouette is in the opening. There's an opening where Rumi's silhouette is in there as the camera gets closer and closer. I love her silhouette there as she's standing. And then Rumi is reciting the Hunter's Creed / pledge, which is the same, the same words that the young version of Rumi was singing before in the past couple times of the movie. As I love how as the camera gets closer to the entrance, some of the fans are looking towards her direction. Not every fan in the area is looking, but just some. I love it. They spread out. They added variety to it. I really like how they offer variety and who is broken out of the Saja boys trance. And then Rumi speaks with a mix. As Rumi is speaking, with the Hunter's Creed, it's a mix of her normal speaking voice with the demonic distortion. It's so cool. Great sound. And then Grima, mocks Rumi of her patterns. And he says, and because of that, like the Han moon is destroyed. And Rumi agrees and says, yes. And at that, I love this. It's so good. Like her voice, her face is kind of looked forward. Her eyes are drooped down a little bit, and she has the demon eyes. But when Guima says that the Han moon now is destroyed, Rumi says, yes, so we can make a new one. And at that moment, there's a close-up shot with just her eyes filling the frame. And when she was looking down with her demon eyes, but when she blinks but when she says, so we can make a new one, she blinks and looks forward. Her eyes change back to her normal, like her human eyes. And like they kind of shine a little bit. And at that point, the sound cuts out to silence and it's a black screen. Oh, I love this. Okay, I've been looking forward to this the whole time, guys. I can quickly go through this because right now is currently 11:42 right now. I have to wake up early in the morning for work. I'm trying not to rush through this because this is easily what I've been looking forward to. But anyway, we now come to the sequence of the song, What It Sounds Like. They saved their most emotional and most powerful sequence for last, and by golly, they nailed it. I need to quick some water right now. My voice is a little scratchy. All right. This whole sequence is cathartic towards all the demon talk and themes of shame the movie has built up to. The final message is stating that we are all hurting, we are all broken, and we should never be alone. Okay, so it cuts to the black screen, the sound cuts off, and then Rumi starts to sing the first verses. As she starts to sing the first verses, the camera's pointed down towards the black tiled walkway. Rumi's stepping into the top of the screen. Her steps are coming in from the top of the screen. I love how they do that. As soon as Rumi begins to sing, her patterns change color and lighting. No longer is it like the pink or the purple type of like hue color that the demon's pattern has. It changes to more of a blue / turquoise, but mostly blue, like type of color. And on top of that, the glow from her patterns are lighting up the ground around her feet. It's like creating a new Han moon as she steps. And there are even some wide shots as she, zoomed away, looking out towards her as she's walking down the stage. And you can see the light from her patterns on the reflective surface of the stage and the catwalk. It's so good. Yeah. So she's, I also love again the detail of scattered faces across the crowds actually turning to Rumi and watching her as she's walking forward. As she's walking and singing, Mira and Zoe's soul light up within their chest. They are the first to start turning to Rumi as she's singing. They would be the first ones for their souls to light up, as this is Rumi's cry out to them. Then there's the quick wide shot from behind Rumi. Rumi's on the lower half of the screen. The walkway platform is centered. Guima and the Saja boys are in the background, also centered. Mira and Zoe are on the opposite ends of the screen in the crowds. They are separated, but their song is going to bring them back together. It's bringing them back together. Not to mention that the lights, yeah, the glowing lights of their soul is visible in that screen. You know exactly where they are. This whole song, the whole sequence, this whole scene and everything, they have great fights with harmonizing. Like they all come together. Mira and Zoe are coming back into the to the stages, and they're singing out their own songs about trying to be brought back together. And then Guima is trying to stop this whole fight, and then the demons are rushing out. It's the faceless demons that are coming out to fight them again. And this time, like they draw their weapons from the Hanmoon, and they have great harmonizing while they're fighting. And as they are fighting, the fans' souls are lighting up blue. Everyone's starting to be broken out of the trance. Yeah. All of the Hanmu weapons now are bright blue. No pink, no violet, no nothing. It is just them. It's just the blue. At this point, I love how the Saja boys, they all fly in to fight them, all except for Jinu. The focus, there's a shot as it's a mid shot pushing closer towards the Saja boys as Saja boys are pushing past Jinu. Jinu stays back and watches. He stays perfectly still. The minimal reactions or expressions on his face clearly show his internal struggle and how the song itself that Rumi is singing is also directed to him. I love the wide shot behind Huntrix as all three of them come together and they're walking down the big runway catwalk or the stage. There's I love the wide shot behind Huntrix as the Saja boys are flying in. There's great symmetry and blocking of all the figures in the shot. I'm going to run through the blocking of the symmetry. You have Mira, Rumi, and Zoe taking the bottom half again, but staying in the middle third of the screen. The Saja boys spreading out evenly from each other. They spread out evenly from each other, close to or above the horizontal line of the center of the screen. Jinu is small in the background, smack dab in the center of the shot. And then Grima taking up most of the background behind Jinu on the top half of the shot. It's so good. It's so beautiful. Beautiful shots, I tell you, like posters all around. The song shifts as they start fighting a little bit more, but then the song shifts as Grima starts taking his final huge form. He starts building up. He brings back the souls of the demons to him as he grows. There are eyes and eyebrows distinguishable in the top of the flames now. He looks like an actual giant mouth with eyes and eyebrows. And then he starts, there's the moment where Rumi is barely holding back Grima's energy blast. He's like, shooting it down on her. The dialogue and sound effects besides the music becomes muffled and they start to fade away, where we start to only hear Rumi letting out a scream, holding back the beam before the audio completely muffles it out. Love it. I love good sound design. It's so good. And all the while we kind of see like a shot of Jinu watching this, and then boom, right before Rumi's overcome by it, and then it stops, and Jinu steps in, and he like has his arms spread out, and he's taking the energy, like the blast against him. The shot of him when he's facing towards Rumi, he no longer has the yellow demon eyes. His eyes are human again, but his patterns are still all over his face. He's human again in his last moments, but he's not hiding his guilt and his shame anymore, just like Rumi did. Oh, I love it. Also, Jinu dove into the fire. There's a line in the song that says, "But dive in the fire and I'll be right there by your side." Jinu dove in the fire, and Rumi is by his side in his last moments. And so before he's officially burned up, he says, you gave me my soul back, and now I give it to you." And the blue light shining in his chest, and he gives it to her, and the energy starts to swell around her. She pulls out her sword, and with the energy of the sword, She flings it, and a huge cut and the tear flies out towards Grima, and it cuts down him. He like cries out in pain. I love at the moment, like right before she screams and she swings at Grima, there are tears flying out of her eyes as she's swinging the sword. I like that little touch of it. Ugh. And then on top of that, as she starts running towards Grima, the fans are vocalizing in harmony with the tune of the song, bringing swirling blue Hanmoon energy around the girls. In the and as Rumi is running straight for Grima, there's a spinning camera around her while like this, the camera spins around her a lot while she's collecting the energy from the fans. It's so cool. It's like she's charging up her power. And then Zoe and Mira and Zoe, well, with our energy surrounding them as well, they managed to defeat the Saja boys. There's some funny little stuff with Mira and Zoe as they're defeating the Saja boys, but I won't go into that because I won't have much time right now. And then it ends to where all three of them are levitating in the air towards Grima. All three of them are holding hands in a circle, singing together and building the energy all around them. At this point, the song is swelling up and building up to this biggest, grandest crescendo ever. And at this moment, every time I get goosebumps thinking about it. It's so powerful, and not to mention, I love how the colors of the energy swirling around them are a combination of all their hair colors. You have purple, red, and black, a little bit of blue, but all of them are swirling around. All of them are combining together. So good. The music, and at this point, like once their energy built up, it destroys Grima, and then the Hanmoon, like a new Hanmoon, is sent out and created and covers all around the world. And I love as they reach the final song, as they've reached the final line of saying, "This is what it sounds like," the music descends and the soft voices carry over from the fans as well. There's a sense of calm and a collective sigh as Huntrix is levitated above the stadium. There's light around this edge, and it's no longer dark, no longer red. They're looking at the crowd and looking at the new Hanmoon. I love the little cello solo of the golden theme at that moment when they're looking out at the work as their journey now fully completed. The girls land on the stage and look around. I love the little detail of the golden. This Hanmoon is not the golden Hanmoon. It is brighter, and it's a mix of their colors, and it's stronger. It's better. Man, that's that. So after that all is done, we cut to the bathhouse scene where Rumi finally joins Mira and Zoe in the bathhouse. They have some fun little, like heartfelt moments and like funny, lines with each other. We're all crying. It's really fun. Zoe just kind of says like, Rumi, I'm just so glad you didn't like die. It makes me laugh every time. Zoe's so fun. All of them become emotional and crying over the love for each other. Once again, I have to praise the filmmakers for letting Mira cry hysterically like the other two. Mira is seen as like the rebellious child of her family and the one who can be tough, but she's not emotionless. She cries and makes weird noises and faces and has fun with Rumi and Zoe. It's kind of understandable for Zoe to cry hysterically along with Rumi, but it shows that Mira is a human being. She's a character that actually, is free to be a character. I love how they did it. And at the end, afterwards, they're all, after the bathhouse, they're on they're all like chanting couch, couch, couch with each other, ready to start another long break this time. Something I really love now at this point, Rumi is finally wearing regular clothes that do not cover her neck and collarbone. Rumi's patterns are visible, but they're not in the demon color. It's bright, and it looks like something similar to an adhesive or a bright scar healing or something. Which goes to show Celine's theory about Rumi's patterns being gone once the Hanmoon is sealed was wrong. Rumi would have to have faced the other two about her patterns. Had everything have gone according to plan, she would have had to face it eventually. Which kind of goes to show we could try to hide our shame or patterns and our guilt as long as we want. One way or another, they will have to be revealed, and we have to address them. If we let them fester and wound, they will take over us. Do not let your shame and guilt overcome you. Find the help. There are people who want to help and love you. Anyway, also, I also love how at this point Zoe is wearing a sweater with Derpy's face in the middle of it. It's so cute, which I'm like, which is fitting because Derpy kind of reminds me of Zoe. And then they all, and then they finally they see some of their fans and they decide to end their break, and they all come to meet them and like just hang out with them. The camera, I love the camera rising up from the level of the streets towards the roof of a nearby building. I love at this point the Hanmoon. It shows the Hanmoon covers across the surface of the buildings, and then you briefly pass over a billboard of of Huntrix, of the three girls, for a new single that's called Comeback. And then it shows, it's a different, and uh different positions and everything like that, but Rumi's patterns are visible in her face. I heard they're gonna make. They are in the process of making a second movie for this, and I wonder if that song "Comeback" is going to be introduced for the sequel. That'd be cool if they did. I wonder how they would top Golden, but hey, it's possible they can do it. And then so as the camera's coming up to coming up through the street levels, it comes to the final shot of Derpy and Sussy on top of the building. Just Derpy being Derpy, and it's really fun. And then it cuts to the credits. And you know what? The end credits are fun. They have some fun anime style drawings of the characters. I'm not going to list all the drawings. All I'm going to say is, if you want to see what the drawings are, go watch the movie and wait till the end to see them yourself. And also, as a cool little treat on top of all the anime style drawings, we also get to see the ladies of the band twice performing their cover for Takedown. You see them receive the notes in the booth, singing along to it. It's a fun little treat. Okay. That's it. That's the movie. That's it. That's all I had to include. And that wasn't all the initial regular notes that I included beforehand, but I have to say, I completely shot myself in the foot with using this movie for my first review. Oh man, reaching like 3 hours. I think I'm at 3 hours now. Animated movies are going to be a lot of work because of all the things to list happening in the background and foreground. I truly believe that animated movies tend to have a lot more creative freedom as compared to live action movies. I think animated movies have the tendency, and they have the ability to add a lot more stuff in production, in post-production as well. Whereas with live action, you have to plan things out accordingly. And if you want certain things, you have to make sure on the day of production, it is included and you insert it into the scene. Otherwise, you try, I don't know, you have to do reshoots or something like that. So animated movies can they can have a lot more things happening in the background because I guess they have a lot more freedom to do all this stuff. Anyway, because I have a lot to reconsider and experiment with in regards to the flow of the show and how each episode will go. Hopefully I can come up with a more simplified yet effective method to reviewing movies in general for this show. I mean, I don't want them to go to 3 hours each. I don't think all these movies are going to go, every movie that I do is going to reach 3 hours. Some going to be low. Some are going to be short. Some are going to be long. And hopefully I can try to come up with a good routine. Anyways, love this movie very much. There's just so much to enjoy and like. And I'm glad that my family also loves it too. Now that the spoilers section is all done, I can finally come to my favorite character and my favorite scene. For my favorite character, this is hard. It's hard to choose because every character is written well and has a unique trait to them to make them stand out. I can't really think of one that I don't like in the sense that they were not written well. But if I had to choose just one, my favorite character would be Derpy the Tiger. Come on, Derpy the Tiger. My favorite scene, this is what it sounds like. The whole sequence. From the moment Rumi enters the stadium at the end of Your Idol, to Jinu's death, to Guima's defeat, and to the creation of the new Hanmoon, this scene, with the music, with the emotion, with the visuals, the action, the dialogue, the interaction, the heart-to-heart moments, this scene stands alone to me to not only be like my favorite scene, but arguably the best in the whole movie. I will leave it there. But this is a great, great movie. I hope that it can come out on DVD soon, because I can't keep paying $25 a month or $30 a month for a Netflix subscription. But you guys can watch it on Netflix. That's where it currently is right now. Hopefully it can come on DVD soon, because it'd be great. But that is what I love about K-pop Demon Hunters. Wow. Whoa, what an introduction to WILA. I hope you all enjoyed hearing my takes and appreciation for this film. There will be more reviews, hopefully soon. I will try to do my best to get some uploaded and just work on some whenever I can. Again, thank you guys for sticking around and listening into this. I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Yeah. I look forward to doing some more. I will see you guys in the next episode. God bless you all, and have a good day.